He sighed, who's setting him up? Author, come out now. Turning a corner, two people blocked his way. You guys haven't given up yet? His palms were sweating. Wasn't knocking down that many not enough? He turned and ran. Behind him came muffled sounds and angry shouts. Are you crazy? Why'd you hit me? He stopped and turned back, seeing one person suddenly punch their companion hard. Bang! The one hit staggered. The puncher looked confused. It wasn't me, my body just moved on its own. Before finishing, they lunged at each other and wrestled, completely ignoring Jiang Chaoyang. So noisy. A drowsy voice came from the door behind him. Jiang Chaoyang turned and saw a tall man rubbing his eyes, half-opening violet eyes. The two wrestling saw his face change drastically, as if seeing a ghost. Jiang Chaoyang guessed this man was a dominant alpha. The man ignored the scuffle, walked around Jiang Chaoyang, and headed toward the elevator. Urgent footsteps followed. Gritting his teeth, Jiang Chaoyang quickened his pace to keep up. The man leaned against the wall with eyes closed when suddenly someone grabbed his hand. He slowly opened his eyes. The person in front of him was panting and didn't let go. Can I come with you? Jiang Chaoyang asked. The man half lowered his eyes and said, I'm going home. Jiang Chaoyang's throat tightened. What should he do? He had to shake off those chasing him, and now asking this man for help seemed the best option. Can I come home with you? Jiang Chaoyang immediately regretted the question and wished he could slap himself. It was such a stupid thing to ask. Why? The man asked. Jiang Chaoyang opened his mouth but couldn't think of a reason. If he said he wanted help, the man would probably be annoyed. The elevator was almost at their floor. He decided to lie, because your sleep-inducing service is excellent. The man was silent. Jiang Chaoyang hurried to explain, I'm not lying. I'm here to promote it. Don't you always have trouble sleeping? I'll give you a free trial. If you like it, contact me. $50 a session, very cheap. Ding! The elevator doors opened, and the man stepped inside. Jiang Chaoyang stood still. The man asked, not coming over? Jiang Chaoyang happily followed him inside. When they reached the first-floor lobby, Jiang Chaoyang kept close to the man, glancing around cautiously. To stay alert, he decided to stick close. The receptionist's eyes widened at the sight. Even after the driver opened the car door and the two got in, the receptionist was still too stunned to speak. What's going on? The manager asked as he walked by. Mr. Sang brought a man with him into the car. The manager was surprised too. What? Sang Chio's suppressant dominated the market with exclusive patents. No one could compete. Many envied him and tried to curry favor. But he was indifferent to others and certainly wouldn't bring anyone along. Once inside the car, Jiang Chaoyang's tense nerves relaxed slightly. He pulled out his phone and made a call, which rang a few times before being answered. On the other end, impatience was clear. What do you want? I ran into a little trouble on the way. I can't make the tutoring session today. Let's reschedule, Jiang Chaoyang said. There was a pause. What kind of trouble? Jiang Chaoyang was puzzled. Wasn't Han Shuqian just trying to keep him from tutoring? He heard movement beside him and glanced back. Sang Qiyu had his eyes closed, head resting against the window. Jiang Chaoyang lowered his voice, nothing serious. That's all. Hanging up now. Where are you? Give me an address. No, I'm fine. Just saying that, Jiang Chaoyang hurriedly ended the call and, seeing Sang Qiyu still asleep, let out a relieved breath. Leaning back in his seat, he began plotting his next move. At $50 for a sleep-coaxing service, even Jiang Chaoyang felt it was just an excuse. The car cruised steadily, the scenery outside blurring. After some time, Jiang Chaoyang started to doze off. Finally, the car stopped. He looked outside. No buildings, no cars, just a single villa. The driver got out and opened the door for Sang Qiyu. Sang Qiu's eyes were still heavy with sleep as he headed to the front door, Jiang Chaoyang close behind. The driver locked the car and quickly approached, gently tugging Jiang Chaoyang's arm, signaling him to wait. Sir, the driver whispered, Mr. Sang is most sensitive about being disturbed when resting. Don't call him when his eyes are closed. Jiang Chaoyang nodded. There wouldn't be a next time anyway. The driver's voice was tinged with fear. Last time, someone didn't get the hint and took a call in the car. Mr. Sang threw the phone out the window. He's a big shot. Jiang Chaoyang's heart skipped a beat. Holy crap. He responded, got it. If he failed to help Sang Qiyu sleep, would he be kicked out immediately? Jiang Chaoyang stepped inside Sang Qiu's villa. The house was large but sparsely furnished, lacking any sense of liveliness. It seemed Sang Qiyu had forgotten he had a sleep-coaxing assistant trailing behind. He walked to a cabinet, picked up an unlabeled black bottle, poured out 2 white pills, and swallowed them immediately. Jiang Chaoyang scanned the room and noticed many similar black bottles scattered around, seemingly placed for easy access. Could they be sleeping pills? After taking the pills, Sang Chiyu didn't even glance at Jiang Chaoyang standing by the entrance. He turned and headed upstairs, disappearing from view. The vast living room was left with only Jiang Chaoyang and a housekeeper cleaning the kitchen. Seeing his surprise, the housekeeper smiled gently. Jiang Chaoyang awkwardly said, "Mr. Sang doesn't seem to need the sleep coaxing service?" He felt foolish even saying it, the pills seemed more effective than anything he could offer. The housekeeper shook her head. "Please make yourself at home. Since Mr. Sang brought you here, you can sit or leave as you wish." Rubbing his neck, Jiang Chaoyang asked curiously, "Are those sleeping pills?" The housekeeper's expression grew uneasy, hesitant to answer. Jiang Chaoyang quickly waved it off. "I'm just asking." As he was about to leave, the housekeeper stopped him. "There's really no secret. You can find it online," she sighed. "Mr. Sang is an S-class alpha, but he wasn't born that way." Jiang Chaoyang was taken aback. The housekeeper continued, "He's an only child with high family expectations, but he was originally an ordinary alpha. As a child, he was forced to receive enhancement injections." "Enhancement injections?" The housekeeper nodded. "For 5 years, to turn him into an S-class." Her tone turned serious. "But the enhancer was experimental, extremely risky. Each injection was like walking through the gates of hell. Mild cases caused brain damage, severe cases death. Once he became S-class, he no longer needed injections but had to maintain it with medication. If he stopped, he'd die, because he's dependent on the drugs." Jiang Chaoyang frowned deeply. "The side effect is drowsiness. Mr. Sang often just falls asleep while walking," the housekeeper lamented. "And sometimes he doesn't wake up." "Doesn't wake up?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "Yes. He often forces himself not to sleep, but the medication is so strong, he frequently has no choice but to close his eyes." Jiang Chaoyang fell silent. He didn't leave, instead, he sat down. Pulling out his phone, he checked the time. A news alert popped up on the screen. #recently, the number of missing nurturing alphas has increased. Please keep an eye on those around you. He glanced casually, then turned off his phone. The nanny finished washing the fruit and brought it over. The living room was empty. She looked around and saw Jiang Chaoyang had gone upstairs. Jiang Chaoyang stood at the doorway, the door was ajar. After hesitating, he gently pushed it open. Sang Chiyu faced away from the door, as if just out of the shower, wearing only black pants. Water droplets trickled down his broad back, highlighting his strong physique. He casually wiped his hair with a towel and lay down on the bed, seemingly unconcerned about someone entering. His wet hair left a dark stain on the pillow. Jiang Chaoyang stepped inside, intending to suggest drying his hair before sleeping, but the words never came out. After standing for a moment, he began rummaging through a drawer and pulled out a silent hairdryer. Sitting on the edge of the bed, Jiang Chaoyang said, "How about you raise your head a bit? The pillow's wet, sleeping like this might give you a headache." Sang Chio's eyelids twitched slightly, he opened his eyes wearily, his focus blurry. He didn't respond but slowly lifted his head off the soaked pillow. Jiang Chaoyang glanced at the clean pillow beside him, thinking that if Sang Chiyu shifted over, it would probably get dirty too. Instead, he reached out to support Sang Chio's neck and shoulders, placing his dripping head on his own thighs pressed together. Regardless of whether his pants would get wet, he switched on the hairdryer. The warm breeze blew gently as Jiang Chaoyang carefully ran his fingers through Sang Chio's damp hair, making sure the heat reached every strand evenly. Occasionally, he needed to turn Sang Chio's head, but there was no reaction at all. He let Jiang Chaoyang adjust him at will. Jiang Chaoyang stared at his profile, thinking to himself, at least this is a way to thank him for helping avoid the SA organization. After a while, Jiang Chaoyang touched his hair, it was dry. He turned off the hairdryer and moved Sang Chio's head back onto the pillow. Having finished, he hesitated for a moment before reaching out to hold Sang Chio's hand lying by his side, trying to release pheromones. Maybe it would help. Soon, Sang Chio's breathing slowed, as if he had fallen asleep. Noticing the change, Jiang Chaoyang continued releasing pheromones steadily. An hour passed, and Jiang Chaoyang began feeling a bit tired, normal energy drain. After an hour and a half, fatigue grew stronger, but he persisted. Nearing 2 hours, he suddenly felt intense nausea and heart palpitations. Unable to hold on, he released Sang Chio's hand and stumbled out of the room. He collapsed by the sink, struggling to hold back dry heaves but didn't vomit. Leaning on the counter, Jiang Chaoyang gasped for air. "What's going on? It's not supposed to make me feel unwell no matter how long the soothing lasts." He noticed his fingers trembling as he gripped the countertop and froze. "Are you okay? Are you feeling unwell?" The nanny hurried over, patting his back. Maybe you should go rest for a bit? Jiang Chaoyang shook his head and asked, does he have any other reactions after falling asleep? The nanny paused, then said, no. But Mr. Sang always has nightmares when he sleeps, that's a side effect of the medication. Jiang Chaoyang understood, he had been bearing the side effects himself. No wonder he felt sick. I'm fine. I'll go back. Suppressing the nausea, he returned to Sang Chio's room. Standing by the bed, he looked down at the sleeping face, conflicted inside. Time ticked by slowly, he sighed helplessly and sat back on the edge of the bed. This time he didn't hold his hand but brushed the hair off his forehead and pressed his palm to it. All right, let's see this through for the good guy. The night was deep and quiet. Sang Chiyu awoke to an unprecedented calm. No familiar sharp pain, no exhaustion, no nightmares. He opened his eyes slowly, his violet irises were clear and bright like polished gems. Sang Chiyu sat up smoothly, showing no sign of fatigue, his fingers lightly touching his forehead. It's been a long time since I felt this clear-headed. Suddenly, the nanny in the kitchen heard the noise and peeked out to see Sang Chiyu coming downstairs. Mr. Sang? The nanny was surprised. Why are you awake at this hour? Normally, Sang Chiyu would never get up at this time. The nanny blinked, seeing his energized expression. She quickly said, I'll warm up some food. Please wait a moment. Sang Chiyu scanned the room. Did he leave a phone number? The nanny shook her head. No. But that gentleman came downstairs looking pale and unsteady, almost falling down the stairs. Sang Chiyu frowned slightly. The nanny continued, I saw him trying to support him, but he refused help and stayed to eat. Then he vomited again. She sounded a bit concerned. He didn't sit down to rest and left shortly after. After speaking, the nanny saw Sang Chiyu head out the door. Jiang Chaoyang squatted by the roadside, one hand supporting his head, the other gripping his phone with the screen lit, showing no driver had accepted his ride request. He looked utterly helpless. This place was too remote, he couldn't get a ride at all. He picked up a stone and threw it far away. Can't just sleep here by the roadside, can I? He was about to contact Yen Yu and Yen Ji to pick him up. As he flipped through his contacts, suddenly a hand grabbed his wrist from above. Startled, he almost dropped his phone. He turned his head to stand up, but a wave of dizziness hit him, nearly causing him to fall. An arm wrapped around his waist, pulling him back. Still shaken, he looked up. The man stood against the moonlight, a few strands of hair fluttered in the wind, gently brushing past his purple eyes, which appeared deep blue-purple in the night. Reflected clearly in his gaze was Jiang Chaoyang. Sang Chiyu. Jiang Chaoyang didn't respond. What? My name's Sang Chiyu. All right. He tried to straighten up and push Sang Chiyu's support away, but his head throbbed and his body was unsteady. Sang Chiyu didn't let go, instead, he tightened his grip, holding him firmly. Stay here for the night, he said. Jiang Chaoyang wanted to refuse, but his body didn't cooperate. Nausea and palpitations surged. Words caught in his throat, blocked by exhaustion. Fine, but I can't walk right now. Can you help me? No sooner had he spoken than he felt the arm at his waist tighten, and his feet lifted off the ground. His perspective shifted, Sang Chiyu was carrying him. Holy crap, you! Jiang Chaoyang nearly bit his tongue in shock and instinctively grabbed at his shirt, only to touch bare skin. He immediately withdrew his hand, forgetting Sang Chiyu wasn't wearing a shirt. Actually, I'm not that tired either, you should still. Didn't you say you couldn't walk? Jiang Chaoyang was left speechless. Sang Chiyu said nothing, holding him as they headed toward the villa's front door. The housekeeper stood at the entrance, watching with her mouth agape. Once in the bedroom, Sang Chiyu set him down, placing him directly on the bed. Don't you have any other rooms? Jiang Chaoyang asked. No. Then I'll sleep on the floor. Sang Chiyu stopped him from getting off the bed. Just as Jiang Chaoyang was about to decline, his phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, it was Scarface. He answered, I'm not going to the bar tonight. Another time. I'm Zhan Xingli. Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. How do you have his phone? There was a noisy commotion on the other end, voices overlapping. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't make out who was speaking until Scarface snatched the phone back. They're asking if you want to come play cards. Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his forehead. I'm not feeling well. Maybe another day. Then I'll give them your contact info. You two can arrange it yourselves. Fine. Scarface looked at the three people crowding around his phone and laughed. You don't know how stubborn they are. They keep nagging me to call you, but as soon as I did, they stole my phone. He hung up. Sang Chiyu held the phone, thumb resting on the end call button. In the dim light, the screen's glow outlined his sharp profile as he silently watched Jiang Chaoyang. Jiang Chaoyang thought he was about to throw the phone, ready to stop him, but Sang Chiyu handed the phone back instead. Taking it, sleepiness suddenly overwhelmed Jiang Chaoyang. He shook his head, his eyes closing involuntarily. As his body leaned forward, Sang Chiyu reached out and caught him. A few strands of pheromones dissipated from Sang Chiyu's hand. The school notified Jiang Chaoyang that he would have to substitute some classes for a few days. Coincidentally, the day of Inzu's class was one he had to cover. Inzu flipped through the materials, expression unchanged upon seeing the teacher was Jiang Chaoyang. Lin Yuan hovered in the air and asked, "You really don't plan to pursue any characters?" Inzu put down the pen and said, "Name conflict." Lin Yuan? This is segment 1 of 30. I have processed the content according to the logical flow, maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Below is the English translation tailored for American readers. Lin Yuan stared wide-eyed in surprise. Are you really number 1? Inzu didn't even lift his eyelids. Why can't I be? Lin Yuan leaned against the wall, speechless. After class, Jiang Chaoyang called Inzu to walk together. Lin Yuan lightly landed on his head. Jiang didn't mind and asked Inzu, "Did you understand it?" "No problem." On the way, Jiang kept asking, "How have you been feeling lately? Happier now?" "Not really." "He's never smiled," Lin Yuan said. Jiang sighed and patted Inzu on the back. "Don't rush, take it slow." Jiang headed to the next classroom to proctor exams and parted ways with Inzu, walking toward the faculty office building. Passing by an open office door, excited voices caught his attention. "Professor E, your paper's approach is brilliant. Thank you for substituting at our school." "Professor E, several of us young faculty in our department are very interested in that interdisciplinary project." Through the crowd, Jiang saw the center of attention. A tall man wearing a shirt and vest, glasses perched on his nose, red eyes gleaming behind the lenses. The man listened patiently to the compliments, a smile playing at his lips, exuding a refined, steady aura with an air of distance. Jiang didn't linger and went into the office to get exam papers. "Teacher Jiang, long time no see," Teacher Yao greeted him, offering a seat and handing over a glass of water. "It's still early, no rush." Jiang looked around. "Isn't class over? Why is the office so quiet?" Teacher Yao smiled. "Everyone's chatting with Professor E. He's a young professor our school invested heavily in." She added, "Professor E was invited to participate in the development of an S-level inhibitor experiment." Jiang twisted the bottle cap and paused. "Did he join the SA organization?" "No, he's too busy and declined." Jiang was silent for a moment, then asked, "What's Professor Yi's full name?" "E Yuan." "E Yuan meaning will or intention." Teacher Yao shook her head and wrote down 2 characters. After the exam ended, Jiang finished counting the papers and headed back to the faculty building to file them. Near the door, an office door swung open, and a man stepped out, accidentally bumping into Jiang's arm. The papers he was holding didn't fall, but his water bottle rolled away. "Sorry," a gentle voice said. The man picked up the bottle and handed it back. "Sorry to bump into you." Jiang met the man's gaze, a chill running down his spine, maybe because the red eyes looked like fresh blood. Luckily, they were behind glasses, so it wasn't as frightening. "No problem." Jiang took the bottle. E Yuan's gaze lingered on Jiang's face, surprised. "I didn't expect you to be teaching here too? Professor E knows me?" Jiang had never met him before, but those red eyes were unforgettable at first glance. E Yuan smiled and said something Jiang had heard many times before. Jiang felt awkward, unsure whether to laugh or not. He was just in the wrong office. How did everyone remember him? "I'm going to file these papers. Goodbye, Professor E." Jiang hurried away. E Yuan stood watching his retreating figure. The glare from his glasses masked his emotions as he turned and left. Just as Jiang was getting ready to leave, his phone buzzed. "Ling Nii, wanna play cards? Wanna play cards? Wanna play cards?" Jiang sighed. 3 people can play Dodiju just fine, but they insisted on 4-player mode. The 3 of them took turns messaging him every day, annoying him. Jiang had refused many times. He stared at the chat screen for a moment, then finally replied. "Jiang Chaoyang, send me the address." Ling Nii quickly sent an address. Jiang opened it right in the most expensive part of downtown. Only people who could afford it would go there. Looks like these 3 are rich young masters after all. Marguerite Club. Jiang gave the floor and room number. The waiter bowed and led the way. "Hey, handsome, wait up." A voice came from behind. Jiang turned around. The approaching woman looked familiar. She was the one who had spoken with Yen Yu and Yen Ji before. Feng Dai naturally slipped past the waiter and affectionately hooked her arm around Jiang's. "Long time no see. Remember me?" I'm Feng Dai. The waiter wisely stepped aside. Jiang tried to pull his arm away, but Feng Dai held on tight and dragged him to a nearby semi-private booth. Since you're here, no rush. Have a drink with your sister. No, I have plans. Another time. Jiang said helplessly. Who is it? So important? Jiang shook his phone, the screen showing Ling Ni's address. Really can't. They're waiting. Seeing it was Ling Ni, Feng Dai smiled. I know him. Don't worry, he'll understand. Ms. Feng, are you forcing him again? A teasing voice came from a distance. Jiang turned his head to look. The bar area was bathed in shifting shadows and light. Two men with distinctly different vibes sat on bar stools, one propped his head up with his hand, the other hooked a finger around his glass. Lu Yushi smiled and raised her glass, giving Feng Dai a little wave as a greeting. What a coincidence, both of you. Feng Dai lifted her glass in return. Gabriel rested his cheek on his hand and said, Miss Feng, the person you're looking for isn't him, right? Feng Dai smiled as she stood up. Looks like I can't help. Handsome guy, have fun. With that, the two of them walked over. Lu Yushi took the seat next to Jiang Chaoyang, casually crossing her long legs and draping an arm over the back of the sofa, practically wrapping Jiang Chaoyang in her presence. Gabriel claimed the empty seat on the other side, smiling as he signaled the waiter. 2 drinks were soon placed on the table. Before leaving, Feng Dai glanced back at the scene, squinted, and snapped a photo. Gabriel handed a drink to Jiang Chaoyang. Here, have a drink? Jiang Chaoyang looked at the glass, helpless. I have an appointment. Trying to stand, he was pulled back by Gabriel. Your friends haven't arrived yet. Sit for a bit. They're not here? Don't believe me? Ask the waiter to check upstairs. Gabriel tilted his chin, and the waiter quickly went upstairs to look. Jiang Chaoyang stared at the drink but took it anyway and sipped. We're not really close, are we? You will be after this drink. Jiang Chaoyang's eyelid twitched. He'd been through enough drinking scenes to know what that line meant. They were trying to get close to him. Suddenly, the arm resting on the back of his chair moved. A hand reached around to his neck, 4 fingers pressed together, gripping his Adam's apple, the fingertips pinching the soft cartilage. The pressure wasn't strong, but it made his whole body stiffen. Lu Yushi gently turned his neck. Haven't you seen the news? Running around like this, aren't you afraid of getting caught? Jiang Chaoyang felt the cool pressure of her fingertips on his Adam's apple and a tingling on his scalp. He yanked Lu Yushi's hand away and shot back. Caught by who? The SA agency. How do you know it's SA? Any proof? Lu Yushi pulled back slightly, smirking. No proof, but SA's the prime suspect. Gabriel laughed harmlessly. Things have been unsettled lately. When they show up, we won't bother you anymore. Jiang Chaoyang took a sip and was about to ask some questions when a noise came from the sofa across. He looked up and saw Wangji sitting there. Gabriel's eyes flickered as he leaned toward Jiang Chaoyang and whispered, You know how he felt after you helped him through that sensitive period? Jiang Chaoyang got annoyed. He's not still mad at me for causing trouble, right? I didn't ask for anything in return, and he says I'm no good? Gabriel smiled, glancing at Wangji. He said. Just then, a waiter arrived with a drink, placing it in front of Wangji. Seeing Gabriel cut off, Jiang Chaoyang asked, What did he say? Nothing. Jiang Chaoyang was speechless, staring at the extra drink on the table. Do you know anyone from SA? No. Lu Yushi brought her glass to her lips. But you can ask Wangji, he might know. Jiang Chaoyang looked at Wangji. Without even lifting his eyes, Wangji said, What's there to know in this dump? Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his forehead. Then do you know a professor named Yuan? The moment he spoke, Lu Yushi and Gabriel's expressions froze. Gabriel's smile vanished instantly. You haven't already contacted him, have you? Jiang Chaoyang shook his head. Just met him once. He's substituting classes at school. Heard SA wants to recruit him. Gabriel warned, Stay away from Yuan. He might have already joined SA but won't admit it. Jiang Chaoyang said nothing, knowing that was very possible. Just then, a flash of bright red hair caught his eye. From a distance, he saw someone scanning the room, looking for someone. He shouted at Gabriel, Didn't you say they hadn't arrived yet? Gabriel remained unfazed, continuing to sip his drink. Jiang Chaoyang grabbed the glass from him, downed it, and stood up to leave. Gabriel blinked at the empty glass. Lu Yushi laughed. Cute way to get back at him. At that moment, Ling Ni suddenly patted Jiang Chaoyang on the shoulder. Jiang Chaoyang apologized. Sorry, I was stuck in traffic and got here late. Have you been waiting long? Ling Ni shook his head. We thought you were in trouble, so I came to find you. Jiang Chaoyang said, You have my number. Why didn't you call? Ling Ni, didn't want to bother you. Jiang Chaoyang ruffled his hair gently. It's fine. I was just busy and didn't come to play cards. Ling Ni nodded obediently. Just then, Feng Dai walked by and said, actually, he was held up by Lu Yushi's side. Gabriel lied and told him you guys hadn't arrived. What? They've got some nerve. Ling Ni bristled, ready to rush over, but Jiang Chaoyang quickly held him back. Feng Dai gave Jiang Chaoyang a knowing look. He could only laugh helplessly. Forget it, let's go. Jiang Chaoyang pulled Ling Ni upstairs. Zhan Xingli and Luo Ichi are still waiting for us to play cards. Ling Ni was a bit annoyed being pulled along. He glared at the three of them for a long time before finally lowering his gaze and realizing Jiang Chaoyang was holding his hand. Ling Ni paused, a faint smile tugging at his lips, and let Jiang Chaoyang lead him away. They entered a spacious room. Jiang Chaoyang sat down on the sofa, took a sip of wine, and saw the three pouring drinks into glasses on the table. He asked, "How old are you guys?" The three looked up and gestured with their hands, about this big. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't help but spit out the wine he had just swallowed. Zhan Xingli said seriously, "We really are this old." Luo Ichi asked, "You want to see?" Jiang Chaoyang wiped his mouth, his face flushed red. "I meant your age. What do you think I was talking about?" Ling Ni nodded, "We're 18. Jiang Chaoyang was speechless. The card game began, and the atmosphere was relaxed. Jiang Chaoyang threw down a pair of kings. As the three pondered intensely, his phone suddenly rang. Luo Ichi answered, "Got it. No time now, let's talk next time." Jiang Chaoyang asked, "Something going on?" Luo Ichi shook his head. After a few more rounds, Zhan Xingli's phone rang. He glanced at it and hung up immediately. At the same time, Ling Ni's phone lit up. Jiang Chaoyang put down his cards, shook his wine glass, and said, "You guys are busy? We can play anytime. Maybe another day?" Luo Ichi said, "No, we're not busy." Zhan Xingli agreed, "Just some annoying stuff." Jiang Chaoyang looked puzzled. "Why are you all answering calls? Don't tell me it's insurance salespeople." Ling Ni sighed, "Our teacher told us to go to the training ground." Jiang Chaoyang asked, "Training for what?" Ling Ni didn't answer, nor did Zhan Xingli. Luo Ichi spoke up, "Practicing secondary pheromones." Jiang Chaoyang was surprised. "You still can't use them?" Luo Ichi said, "Control is spotty, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't." Ling Ni added, "Sometimes I even scare myself, can't take it back." Jiang Chaoyang asked Luo Ichi to put his hand in his. "Feeling the pheromones transmit," he said, "try using secondary pheromones." A few seconds later, Ling Ni jumped up, pointing at the table, shouting, "Where did that spider come from?" Jiang Chaoyang was stunned, there was nothing on the table. Zhan Xingli explained, "His secondary pheromones are illusion type." Jiang Chaoyang released Luo Ichi's hand. "Pretty good. Let me help you get your emotions in order." The three quieted down as Jiang Chaoyang continued, "Don't be nervous or excited when using pheromones. Keep calm and clear about whether you're using primary or secondary types." After he finished, the three came over, one pinched his leg, another his shoulder, and the last his arm. "Bro, can you teach us? Please. We've tried adjusting on our own but no luck. Can you guide us when you have time? Just say what you want, we can give you anything." Jiang Chaoyang laughed. "You guys really know how to cozy up." He ruffled Zhan Xingli's blonde hair. "Okay, but I have to cover some classes soon, so it'll have to wait." He added, "Also need to tutor Han Shuqian." Ling Ni frowned, "Han Shuqian? Why would he need a tutor?" Jiang Chaoyang didn't elaborate. "Not important. I'll teach you when I find time." Changing the subject, he asked, "Do you know Yuan? How is he?" Hearing the name, the three fell silent. "What's wrong? Bad temper?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. Luo Ichi shook his head. Yuan participated in human experiments a few years ago. A gloomy, rainy day. Han Shuqian closed the curtains and turned on the lights. He glanced sideways at Jiang Chaoyang, still sitting in front of the computer. The keyboard clicked as Han Shuqian approached, standing behind him with hands on both sides of the desk. Tap. Han Shuqian's fingers held a pen, the cap tapping on the table. Jiang Chaoyang didn't notice, eyes fixed on the screen. According to Luo Ichi, Yuan took part in human experiments years ago. The subjects died, with no bodies recovered. The experiment's nature and purpose were unclear. Jiang Chaoyang searched online for news about Yuan and read all articles. Yuan publicly denied conducting abduction experiments. No solid evidence linked him to human experiments. He had a good reputation in academia, no one believed he would do such things. The rumors eventually disappeared. Jiang Chaoyang felt like he'd wasted his effort. He asked Lin Yuan if he had any info on Yi Yuan. The answer was none. Lin Yuan explained, the harder the target, the less information there is. Jiang Chaoyang felt a headache coming. This wasn't a target to chase, it was a dangerous character. He opened Weibo and saw a trending post. Hashtag missing comfort type alpha returns, mentally unstable, undergoing treatment hashtag. He clicked the video. The shaky footage was a hidden recording. On a hospital bed lay a thin young man, eyes wild, struggling fiercely as nurses restrained his hands and feet. But with each encounter, the young man's resistance grew fiercer. His eyes were unfocused, filled with fear and frenzy. Hold him down. Hurry. Sedative, another dose. As the nurses worked together to restrain him, the young man suddenly stopped moving. Bloodshot eyes locked onto the camera. That gaze seemed to pierce through the screen, and Jiang Chaoyang felt as if he was being watched. A twisted smile crept across the young man's lips. You can't escape. The cameraman was startled, the lens shook violently before going black. Then came a soft sigh, next one will be you. Jiang Chaoyang froze. Thunder roared, his spine tensed, and instinctively he turned around only to collide with a pair of piercing blue eyes. Han Shuqian was standing behind him, unnoticed until now. Teacher Jiang. Han Shuqian glanced at the screen. Why are you looking at this? Just browsing. Have you finished the assignment? Jiang Chaoyang prepared to stand. Han Shuqian pressed down on his shoulder, making him sit back down. Finished, he said, gripping the armrest tightly and twisting. The chair rotated 180 degrees, bringing Jiang Chaoyang face to face with Han Shuqian. Leaning slightly forward, Han Shuqian planted his hands on the armrests, trapping Jiang Chaoyang between the chair and himself, a mischievous smile revealing his fangs. Teacher Jiang, are you scared? Jiang Chaoyang pushed him lightly. No, just wanted to know something. Came all this way to tutor me but your mind's elsewhere? Han Shuqian's voice rose in mock reproach. Not pushed away, he instead closed the gap. Jiang Chaoyang leaned back, creating distance. I've finished the assignment. Let me see your paper. Han Shuqian stared for a few seconds before slowly straightening up. Jiang Chaoyang took the paper and, after a few minutes, sighed helplessly. So you failed on purpose? You're actually pretty serious in class? All the answers were correct. Well done, turns out he'd been faking being a slacker all along. Just realizing that? Han Shuqian teased. Jiang Chaoyang handed back the paper with a sigh. Looks like I worried for nothing. Congrats on graduating. I'll talk to the housekeeper about it. He stood up, grabbed his bag, and headed for the door. Just as he touched the handle, a hand grabbed his arm. He turned to see Teacher Jiang. Han Shuqian feigned concern. There's still a lot I don't understand. Can you teach me? What? Han Shuqian stepped closer, his face near Jiang Chaoyang's ear, and whispered a few words. His blue eyes were partly hidden by his lashes. Jiang Chaoyang shivered all over. Han Shuqian squinted, smiling at his stunned reaction. Just kidding. Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his forehead. I should tell you, alphas can't be marked unless they have marked pheromones like yin wangji. Han Shuqian raised an eyebrow. You didn't realize I was teasing? Of course I know that. Jiang Chaoyang rolled his eyes. Alright, I'm leaving. Han Shuqian grabbed his arm again. It's pouring out, let me walk you home. No need, I drove. Han Shuqian let go, watching him leave. Jiang Chaoyang entered the living room. The housekeeper quickly approached. Teacher Jiang, is tutoring done? I had someone prepare hot tea. No thanks, Jiang Chaoyang stopped her. Han Shuqian's foundation is solid. His previous failure had special reasons. Based on his level, he doesn't need tutoring anymore. The housekeeper's smile stiffened. She spoke softly, Teacher Jiang, could you reconsider continuing to teach Han Shuqian? Even just spend some more time with him. Jiang Chaoyang was taken aback. Why? He doesn't need company like that. After hesitating, the housekeeper confessed. She'd hired over 10 gentle and patient tutors, but Han Shuqian resisted all of them. Not resistance to learning, but to people. His childhood experiences led him to distrust strangers, and he still had no friends. He would deliberately release pheromones to attack the tutors. Some were nearly overwhelmed and had to quit. Because betas and omegas can't handle S-level pheromones, they brought in alpha Jiang Chaoyang. On the surface it was tutoring, but in reality, it was companionship for Han Shuqian. Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his forehead. His personality is tough. Even I'm struggling. Better to leave it be. The housekeeper said no more. Then I'll see you out. Thank you for your hard work. Jiang Chaoyang nodded. The rain was heavy. The housekeeper held an umbrella for him as he got into the car, buckled his seatbelt, and prepared to start the engine. Hesitating, he rolled down the window and asked, "Has Han Shuqian had his birthday this year?" The housekeeper paused. "Not yet. Tell me the date." At a red light, his phone rang. Habitually, he answered. "Chaoyang, can you do me a favor?" Jiang Chaoyang understood immediately. "Send me the address." "All right, come to my place first to change." The rain had stopped. Jiang Chaoyang stepped out of the elevator when Rinshuzhen suddenly threw her arms around his neck, smiling brightly. "You're the best. What would I do without you?" "Cut the crap." Jiang Chaoyang made her let go, took the clothes handed by his assistant, and went into the fitting room to change. This is segment 5 of 30. Please process the following content according to your logic, maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. When Rinshuzhen attended events, she sometimes brought along a male companion, mainly to ward off men who bothered her. Jiang Chaoyang became her flower guardian in this role. Jiang Chaoyang didn't mind, because Rinshuzhen had always been kind to him and helped him a lot. They had grown up together as childhood friends. Rinshuzhen looked at Jiang Chaoyang stepping out of the fitting room and said with satisfaction, "Still as handsome as ever." Jiang Chaoyang smiled and asked, "Another Chamber of Commerce event this time?" Rinshuzhen nodded, then complained, "I was supposed to go with that guy named Sang to discuss a collaboration." "Sang Chiyu?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "Yes, but his assistant told me he's still not awake." "So frustrating." Rinshuzhen pounded the table lightly. She asked with some puzzlement, "You know him too?" "Kind of." Rinshuzhen sighed, "He's in a tough spot, forced to become S-level and has to deal with side effects. I heard he hasn't woken up for several days." Jiang Chaoyang's expression changed. "Hasn't woken up for several days?" "Yeah, I kept pushing for the collaboration, but his assistant kept saying he's still asleep." Jiang Chaoyang frowned, thinking, sleeping that long? Could he not wake up anymore? But then he thought, the protagonist can't die. "Let's go," Rinshuzhen said, linking her arm with his. At the Chamber of Commerce, Jiang Chaoyang had just taken a few steps when a familiar voice came from beside him. They looked over. After a polite greeting, Wu Zixing started conversing with the seniors. Jiang Chaoyang was a bit surprised and kept observing Wu Zixing. Though he couldn't hear the details, Wu Zixing's calm and confident demeanor showed things were going well. Noticing Jiang Chaoyang's frequent glances, Rinshuzhen whispered, "Zixing is actually pretty smart. He can handle those old foxes." Jiang Chaoyang sighed, "Looks like I'd been too biased against him. He's calm and composed because of his dad's training. After all, he's the only heir," Rinshuzhen explained. "So what's he really like?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "When he cries." Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. Rinshuzhen said with some pity, "Zixing can be a rascal sometimes, and other times obedient and composed, but at heart, he's a fragile and sensitive kid." Jiang Chaoyang was silent, thinking that if it weren't for his mom driving him crazy, he might not be like this. Nightfall. Rinshuzhen glanced at her phone and hurried down to the basement. "It's late, I have to get back to work." Before getting in the car, she asked Wu Zixing, "Want to go with me? I'll give you a ride." Wu Zixing scanned the surroundings. "Where's Yang Ge?" "Right behind you," Rinshuzhen said. Wu Zixing turned his head and was lightly ruffled on the head by Jiang Chaoyang, who said, "Jinjie doesn't have time to take you out to eat. Want to come with me?" Wu Zixing paused briefly, then smiled and agreed, "Sure." Rinshuzhen was surprised at the scene. Jiang Chaoyang got Wu Zixing into the car. Just as they were about to decide where to eat, Rinshuzhen sent an address and a message. "Rinshuzhen, I reserved a spot. Just go there, no need to pay." Jiang Chaoyang, Jinjie is really generous. In the car, Wu Zixing quietly stared out the window, expressionless. At a crossroads, he suddenly asked, "Yang Ge, do you pity me?" "No. Jinjie told you about my situation, right? She only told me what's going on with you." The implication was that Rinshuzhen hadn't told him about Wu Zixing's family, though Jiang Chaoyang already knew. Wu Zixing asked, "Yang Ge, do you think I'm scary?" The car fell silent. Before Jiang Chaoyang could answer, Wu Zixing's eyelids slowly closed. Outside the window, the passing lights flickered rapidly, casting shadows on his face that made him look especially fragile. Suddenly, a colorful candy wrapper fell on him. He blinked. Wu Zixing looked up. Jiang Chaoyang was still staring ahead and said, "I only give candy to kids who behave." At the red light, Jiang Chaoyang heard the sound of candy being unwrapped. When the light turned green, Wu Zixing said, "Yang Ge, can you pull over to the self-service car wash ahead?" "What's up?" "I want to use the restroom." Jiang Chaoyang nodded. The car stopped. Wu Zixing got out and started scrolling through videos on his phone. Instead of heading to the restroom, Wu Zixing circled behind the car. Not far away, A black sedan had its engine off. Inside, a man adjusted his headset. Targets left, we can move in. Knock knock. The car window was tapped. The man turned his head. Wu Zixing bent down, pressing his face against the car window. His eyes gleamed in the dim light, and a smile curled on his lips. The people inside reacted too slowly. Suddenly, the sound of shattering glass pierced the air. Wu Zixing smashed the car window with a punch, shards flew everywhere. His face was expressionless, and an ominous aura instantly filled the car. He tilted his head, bit on the candy, and said coldly, "I don't like anyone disturbing Yang Gu. This is segment 6 of 30. Please find the translated content below, maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout as requested." Jiang Chaoyang glanced toward the bathroom empty. Frowning, he got out of the car and was about to make a call when he spotted a figure approaching from afar. His phone slipped from his hand. The young man's face was smeared with blood, and his left hand bore a deep wound, blood constantly dripping down. Yet, he walked toward Jiang Chaoyang with an obedient smile on his face. Jiang Chaoyang hurried forward, his hand freezing midair, unsure how to help. "What happened? Whose blood is this on you?" "It's not my blood. Look." Wu Zixing wiped the blood from his face. "Someone was following us, I went to take care of it." Jiang Chaoyang grabbed his injured hand, the wound split open again. Seeing Jiang Chaoyang's worry, Wu Zixing's smile grew even brighter. "I'm not in pain." "That's impossible. You need to go to the hospital right away." Jiang Chaoyang tugged at his wrist, but Wu Zixing stopped, twisting Jiang Chaoyang's hand behind his back. "My secondary pheromone is anesthetic type, I can't feel pain." "But, Yang Ji," Wu Zixing interrupted. Jiang Chaoyang froze. Wu Zixing looked down at him, his smile cold and emotionless, but his voice was innocent. "Am I a well-behaved kid?" A girl ran over holding an umbrella and stopped under the shade. She asked the crouching young man, "Senpai, can I get your contact info?" "I'm an Omega." "No, I'm just a substitute teacher." The girl murmured an apology and ran off. Jiang Chaoyang checked the time. Class should have ended by now, where was Inju's group? As he pondered, a weight suddenly dropped on his shoulder. Turning around, he saw Slimeland there and asked, "Where's Inju?" "Over there," Lin Yuan replied. Jiang Chaoyang followed his gaze. The youthful atmosphere was palpable, like a scene from a school drama. A girl with bright eyes was talking to Inju. A smile tugged at Jiang Chaoyang's lips. "No way, maybe Inju's going to get a date today." Lin Yuan said flatly, "Not really." Inju listened quietly, expression unreadable. Amid the hopeful gazes of the girls, he shook his head. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't help but tease, truly single by strength alone. Such pretty girls. He pinched Lin Yuan and asked, "You said your energy isn't enough to take human form. How do you get more energy?" Lin Yuan's tone was a mix of cheerfulness and lament. "You have to raise the affection level of the romance characters and accumulate enough to transform into human form. But it might be like this forever. You actually look pretty cute like this." Jiang Chaoyang poked him. "Like bubblegum." Lin Yuan huffed, "Don't you want to see me in human form? I'm really handsome." "How handsome?" "Handsome than all the romance characters." Jiang Chaoyang's eyes widened. "Seriously? You're not joking?" Lin Yuan answered seriously, "It's true, by my own standards." A voice came from behind. "What are you two talking about?" Jiang Chaoyang turned. It was Inju. Lin Yuan casually draped himself over Inju's shoulder, but Jiang Chaoyang suddenly felt something off. He stared at Inju's profile and asked, "Why do you feel more solid somehow?" Inju didn't respond. Jiang Chaoyang guessed he was shy and rubbed his hair. "Come on, I'll walk you home." Lin Yuan followed silently. Back at Inju's house, Jiang Chaoyang wanted to show off a bit and borrowed the kitchen. Pots and pans clanged nonstop. Lin Yuan suspected he was banging drums. Inju walked over to check the pots, a rare look of helplessness on his face. "I'll do it. You sit down." Inju took over the spatula. Lin Yuan leaned in and blurted, "Is that poop?" Jiang Chaoyang grabbed him and squeezed him roughly. "Watch your mouth. Look how polite Inju is." Lin Yuan wriggled free. "So you usually cook for yourself?" Jiang Chaoyang shook his head. "Usually order takeout or eat out." Lin Yuan mocked, "You don't even eat your own cooking." Jiang Chaoyang cleared his throat, sneaking a glance at Inju busy cooking, then walked to the balcony and motioned for Lin Yuan to come over. Lin Yuan quietly flew over. Jiang Chaoyang whispered, "Can romance characters die unexpectedly?" "No." Jiang Chaoyang exhaled in relief and asked, "Does Sang Qiyu often sleep because of the medication?" "Yes." "Can she sometimes not wake up for several days?" "No." Jiang Chaoyang frowned. but Sang Chi-yu hasn't woken up at all. Lin Yuan was shocked. They exchanged looks. Jiang Chaoyang scanned to see if Inju was paying attention, then asked, "What's really going on?" After a pause, Lin Yuan said, "I told you, if you don't follow the 1v1 route, the story will automatically go the NP, non-player, route." He continued, "Sang Chi-yu's storyline should have been saved by Inju, but since he doesn't want to romance any character, that's why Sang Chi-yu can't wake up." Jiang Chaoyang choked up. "These are plot arrangements, not accidental deaths. Inju refuses to follow the story, important characters go missing, and Sang Chi-yu inevitably suffers. Better to tell Inju. You can't bear this alone." Lin Yuan tried to fly toward Inju but was stopped by Jiang Chaoyang. This is segment 7/30. Please process the following content according to your logic. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout, and return only the processed result. He has no obligation to do this, Jiang Chaoyang said seriously. "Don't forget, he was forced into this book." Lin Yuan was silent. "But you're under no obligation to help him either." Lin Yuan felt sorry for Jiang Chaoyang but was at a loss. "This really isn't your business. If you get involved and something goes wrong, what then?" Jiang Chaoyang shook his head. "No, I'll go check on Sang Chi-yu first." "Don't tell Inzu." "That's not possible," Lin Yuan said firmly. "Inzu just got cancer. He's getting a second chance at life, can't you let him live it peacefully?" Lin Yuan was about to explode. "What about you? Have you ever thought about yourself?" Jiang Chaoyang replied, "The thing is, if Sang Chi-yu doesn't wake up soon, his time is near. If he dies, I'm done for too, and this book won't get finished." "What are you guys talking about?" Inzu appeared, just coming out of the kitchen carrying a tray of dishes. Jiang Chaoyang sat down casually, glanced at the food, and fell silent. He had forgotten that Inzu grew up in hospitals and had barely ever cooked. Lin Yuan started to speak. Jiang Chaoyang stopped him with a look. Lin Yuan had nothing to say. Jiang Chaoyang stood up. "Let's go out to eat. Isn't your vacation coming up? Perfect time for a little fun." Suddenly, Inzu grabbed his hand. Jiang Chaoyang turned back. Inzu let go and said, "Come with me." Jiang Chaoyang shot a glance at Lin Yuan and followed Inzu into the room. Inzu pulled a black velvet box from a drawer and handed it to him. Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. "For me?" Inzu nodded. He opened the box to reveal a silver-gray watch with a sun-shaped face, finely crafted. Seeing his expression, Inzu suddenly hugged him. Jiang Chaoyang sensed his nervousness and gently patted his back. "Thank you. I really like it." He put the watch on and took Inzu's hand. "Let's go eat. My treat." Afternoon. After parting ways with Inzu, Jiang Chaoyang reminded Lin Yuan repeatedly not to tell anyone. Lin Yuan reluctantly agreed. Jiang Chaoyang opened navigation, using the location he had saved earlier outside Sang Chi-yu's house, otherwise, he'd have to ask his assistant for the address. The housekeeper, wiping windows, noticed the car parked at the door and stood alert. She approached the peephole, hesitated when she saw who it was, then opened the door. "Mr. Jiang? What brings you here?" "Checking on Sang Chi-yu. He's still asleep. Come back another day, I'll let him know." Jiang Chaoyang thought quickly. "Actually, he called me earlier. Said my companionship service is good." The housekeeper's expression changed. He coughed and went straight upstairs. The bedroom curtains were tightly drawn. Sang Chi-yu lay in bed, one arm hooked to an foredrip. Jiang Chaoyang first checked if he was breathing. After confirming, he brushed aside Sang Chi-yu's bangs, pressed his hand to his forehead, and slowly transmitted his pheromones. Half an hour later, he withdrew his hand and patted his shoulder. "Wake up. Don't sleep anymore." No response. He shouted hoarsely, released more pheromones, still nothing. His eyes landed on the bedside table, where he picked up a black medicine bottle and studied it. The bottle had no label, like an unregulated product. He poured out some pills and sniffed them. A bitter scent hit his nose, and his expression changed. "An emetic? How could Sang Chi-yu swallow that?" Jiang Chaoyang poured the pills back and left the room. He found the housekeeper wiping windows again. "Auntie, do you know where he gets his medicine?" She shook her head. "All delivered by courier." Jiang Chaoyang stroked his chin. The address on the package might be fake, such banned drugs wouldn't appear on the market. He asked, "Has Sang Chi-yu ever slept continuously for days before?" "Yes." The housekeeper calculated. "But this time is longer than before. They just hired a family doctor who said they can only start with 4 nutrition for now." Jiang Chaoyang asked more questions but found no clues. He had no choice but to head back. After showering at home, Jiang Chaoyang opened his computer. He logged into the dark web via a VPN and started searching for posts about S-level enhancers. The more he learned, the more uneasy he felt. Information about enhancers was available, but no mention of follow-up medication. If even the dark web had no info, where else could he look? His fingers paused, then he typed SA organization. After searching all night with no results, Jiang Chaoyang propped his head up and yawned. Where did Teacher Jiang go last night? Teacher Yao leaned on the desk, handing him an apple, glancing at the watch on his wrist. Nice watch. Where'd you get it? A friend gave it to me. Teacher Yao smiled. Girlfriend? You're overthinking. Teacher Yao said no more, then suddenly looked toward the corner and hurried over. Jiang Chaoyang followed and saw several teachers gathered around a computer, staring intently at the screen. Curious, he asked, what are you looking at? Professor Yi's latest paper. This is excerpt 8 of 30. Please process the following content according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. Jiang Chaoyang wasn't interested and glanced casually. Just as he was about to leave, he overheard several teachers discussing. Professor E is incredible, he's made breakthroughs in pharmaceutical chemistry. I suspect he used to be a medical researcher. No wonder the SA agency invited him. Jiang Chaoyang swallowed a bite of his apple and turned to look at the screen more attentively. Professor Yi's expertise is really broad? Yeah, a cross-disciplinary genius with a biochemistry background, later focusing on physics. If it weren't for his achievements in physics, he probably would have become a top scientist at a pharmaceutical company. Jiang Chaoyang remained silent and watched the paper with the teachers, wondering if the drugs Yuan and Sang Chiyu took were related. Could the drugs have been made by Yuan? The thought sent a chill down his spine. The bell rang. After class, many students rushed to the podium, surrounding Yuan with questions. Yuan patiently and kindly answered them. At that moment, he seemed to sense something and raised his red eyes. Jiang Chaoyang had intended to approach him after class, but seeing how busy he was, decided to come back another day. Just as he was about to leave, Yuan called out to him. Teacher Jiang, do you need something? The students all turned to look at the door. No, go ahead and focus on your work. Jiang Chaoyang waved his hand and walked away. On the way back to his office, his phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. After hesitating, he answered. Hey, handsome, want to grab a drink? Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. Feng Dai? Yan Yu and Yan Ji aren't feeling well and can't make it, so I'm the one inviting you. Feng Dai sounded regretful. Jiang frowned. They're sick? It's nothing serious, just that their vulnerable period has come. Feng Dai's tone was calm, as if she already guessed what Jiang Chaoyang was going to do next. If you call them, they probably won't answer. A few seconds later, Jiang asked, do you know where they are? I do, but hey, handsome, you owe me one, you have to have a drink with me next time. All right. After hanging up, Feng Dai sent an address. Jiang Chaoyang hadn't opened it when a news alert popped up. Hashtag tests show that the returning pacifying type alpha's pheromones have been depleted, permanently losing pheromone function. Hashtag. Permanently lost? He hurried to the location where Yan Yu and Yan Ji were. The sound of billiard balls echoed. You still have the energy to play pool? You guys? Before he could finish, he saw the two looking calm, not even emitting pheromones. Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. Aren't you supposed to be in your vulnerable period? Who told you that? Yan Ji aimed at the white ball and struck. Jiang carefully observed their expressions and, seeing they were fine, relaxed. Feng Dai told me and gave me this address. Don't believe her, Yan Yu said. So when is your vulnerable period? Jiang asked. The sound of a ball dropping into a pocket rang out. The two didn't answer immediately. Yan Ji stood up and approached Jiang with a smile. So concerned? I don't wander around lately. Yan Ji reached out to straighten Jiang's disheveled collar. Yan Yu placed the white cue ball in the center of the table. Wanna play a game? Their tone was casual. Jiang took the cue, and Yan Yu asked, you went to the club before? Jiang was surprised. How do you know? Feng Dai told us. Yan Yu pulled out her phone, swiped a few times, and showed it to him. She said you have a good relationship with Yin Wangji and the others. Jiang waved his hand. No, I was just there to play cards with Luoichi and the others. Yan Yu nodded without saying more. Jiang made a shot. Observing their states and expressions, everything seemed normal, no sign of the vulnerable period. He was somewhat puzzled. Could Feng Dai have lied to him? As dusk fell, after several games, he finished his drink at the bar and said, I'm heading out. You guys should rest early. Yeah, be careful on your way. Leaving the billiard room, he took the elevator. His throat still burned from the alcohol, and the taste was strange. Yanji used to drink brandy, this time the drink was stronger, like whiskey. Jiang suddenly felt something was off. He quickly cancelled the floor selection, pressed the numbers again, and tried calling Yanju's phone, only busy signals. At the floor, he rushed out of the elevator, grabbed the door handle, twisting it repeatedly without any response. You guys locked yourselves in? Open up. Silence from inside. He recalled how Yanji had firmly pressed his collar earlier, as if struggling to stay awake. Seriously, you two cowards. He kicked the door to no avail. He ran down to the front desk to ask for a spare key, but the desk clerk said the key had already been taken. Jiang was so frustrated he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Back at the door, frowning, an idea suddenly came to him. He took a deep breath and cleared his throat. Who are you? Seeing no reaction from the door, he raised his voice. I guess you're from the SA agency sent to capture me, right? Click. This is segment 9 of 30. Following your instructions, I have preserved the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout while translating the content into English in a way that suits American readers. Jiang Chaoyang suddenly grabbed Yanju by the collar and stormed into the room, slamming the door shut with a kick behind him. His eyes blazed with fury. Are you guys seriously trying to rob me for help? Why didn't you tell me sooner that the suppressant doesn't work on you? Why didn't you ask me for help? Yanju didn't respond, simply watching him quietly. The private billiards room was dimly lit, with only a white light above the pool table cutting through the darkness. Giant shadows stretched across the walls. Jiang Chaoyang was about to speak when he suddenly sensed a strong pheromone filling the air. It wasn't an ordinary scent, it was wild, repellent, aggressive, pressing down on the entire space. Every hair on his body stood on end. The intense sense of danger froze him in place. Yanji leaned against the pool table, swirling a cup in his hand, lazily lifting his eyes toward Jiang Chaoyang, a familiar smirk playing on his lips. Didn't we let you go? After seeing you like this, how could I possibly let you off? Jiang Chaoyang ground his teeth. Just as he released his own pheromones. Thud. His heart tightened. Two waves of negative energy surged wildly into his body. His vision darkened, and his body lost control, collapsing forward. Yanju and Yanji reached out simultaneously, steadying him firmly. Jiang Chaoyang gasped for breath, looking up to meet Yanju's cold and terrifying gaze. Attack-type pheromones hurt you more, Yanju said. I know. Trying to calm two S levels at once will double the pain. I know. So, leave now. Jiang Chaoyang twisted their arms behind their backs, unleashing his pheromones without restraint. What are you nagging about? If you want help, just accept it. It's only two people, I'm not about to break down over this. That sentence was like lighting a fuse. Their eyes instantly turned icy cold. Jiang Chaoyang felt his blood reverse flow, and the surrounding pheromones grew even more violent. Break down? Yanju's eyes darkened to an unfathomable depth. A faint smile curled at Jiang Chaoyang's lips. You should be afraid of us. Before Jiang Chaoyang could react, Yanju suddenly grabbed the back of his neck with force, snapping his head backward, exposing his vulnerable neck under the light. Jiang Chaoyang let out a muffled groan, forced to tilt his head back, sensing the pheromones intensify. At that moment, a cold liquid poured down without warning from above. Amber-colored whiskey slid down his neck, icy and biting, making Jiang Chaoyang shiver all over. His mind went blank. The pain was indescribable, even breathing hurt. His vision shook violently. The hands gripping the two men's arms gradually weakened and loosened, relying on Yanju and Yanji to support him and keep him from falling. Latest report, AO Group CEO Sang Chiyu has been hospitalized unconscious and is currently undergoing emergency treatment with no effective cure yet. Yin Zhu turned off the TV and dialed Jiang Chaoyang's phone again, but there was still no answer. Lin Yuan glanced at his back and said, Jiang Chaoyang won't let me tell you. He's trying to find a solution on his own. I tried contacting him with telepathic signals, but no response. I guess he's fallen into a coma, but it's been days and he still hasn't woken up. Yin Zhu's gaze grew colder. After a moment of silence, he asked, as the system, do you know where Yanju and Yanji live? Night fell. Jiang Chaoyang opened his eyes. He knew immediately it was nighttime, he must have slept the whole day. Side effects hit again. Jiang Chaoyang lay there for a while before sitting up and checking his phone, which was filled with missed calls. He didn't know who had put it on silent. Seeing the date, his eyes widened. He had slept for 3 whole days? He rushed to his feet but stumbled the moment he touched the floor. Struggling to stand, he pulled back the curtains, blinding sunlight flooding in. Supporting himself against the wall, pushing open the door, he froze at the sight of the room before him. Wasn't this Yen Ji and Yen Yu's place? Just then, a knock came at the door. Jiang Chaoyang staggered over, peered through the peephole, then opened the door cautiously. How did you guys know I was here? We thought you'd been kidnapped, Lin Yuan said urgently, stepping inside. Why have you been unconscious for so long? Jiang Chaoyang scratched his head. Helped him through the sensitive period twice, then I just fell asleep. Yin Zhu's expression was stern. Jiang Chaoyang wanted to pat him on the shoulder for comfort but lacked the strength to move forward. Yin Zhu steadied him. By the way, how's Sang Chiyu? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Still in the hospital, critical. What? Yen Yu and Yen Ji were driving home. At a red light, Yen Ji glanced at his phone, fell silent, then handed it to Yen Yu. A message from Jiang Chaoyang popped up. My great-grandma is getting married. I'm going to the wedding banquet. Yen Yu was speechless. Yen Ji sneered, does he think we're idiots? The grass on my great-grandma's grave is taller than people. Using his poor health as an excuse, Jiang Chaoyang fooled Yin Zhu and Lin Yuan, then slipped out secretly and took a taxi to school. He decided to take a gamble. Once inside the school, he headed straight for the faculty building. Teacher Yao was working in his office when a sudden noise startled him. Looking up, he saw Jiang Chaoyang gasping for breath. Teacher Jiang, what's wrong? Teacher Yao handed him some water, concern evident in his voice. You look awful. What happened? Jiang shook his head. Do you know where Professor Yi's office is? 2 floors up, first door on the left. Without drinking the water, Jiang hurried off. Teacher Yao watched him go, puzzled, noticing he almost stumbled. Knock knock. Come in, Yi Yuan replied without looking up. Professor Yi, I have a few questions I'd like to ask. He paused his writing and glanced up to see Jiang leaning on the doorframe, catching his breath. He stood and pulled out a chair. Sit down. Jiang sat, breathing short and shallow. Not feeling well? He asked. Jiang shook his head, earnest. I'm very interested in your previous pharmaceutical paper and have a few questions. May I? He raised an eyebrow, his red eyes visible behind his glasses as he studied Jiang's pale face. After a few seconds, he nodded. Go ahead. Jiang cleared his dry throat. There's a medicine that tastes extremely bitter and smells nauseating. What do you think is in it? Jink Sisu, he answered. The strongest neural suppressant, deeply interfering with brain activity. Who usually takes this kind of medicine? Those whose bodies can't handle strong pheromones and need it to regulate themselves. Jiang understood and asked, have you ever seen this medicine? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stood and poured a cup of hot water, handing it to Jiang. You don't look well. Drink this first. Thank you. After Jiang took the water, he spoke. This medicine is banned and not available on the market. I've only heard of it by name. Seeing Jiang had no more questions, he didn't press further. Why do you want to know about this? He asked softly. Because I admire you a lot, Professor Yi, and want to learn more about pharmaceuticals, Jiang said with genuine admiration. Yi's expression remained unchanged as he pushed up his glasses, the reflection hiding his red eyes. You admire me? Jiang nodded sincerely, thinking expressing respect and fondness might encourage him to share more. Any other questions? He asked. This medicine is so dangerous, what happens if someone takes it and can't wake up? Is there an antidote? He shook his head. Jiang's heart sank. Then what about Sang Chiyu? He pressed his temple. There is a formula, but making it is forbidden. What's needed? Jiang asked urgently. The core ingredient is a soothing pheromone. What does that mean? Extracted from the calming pheromone is Enshensu, which is key to calming alpha individuals, effective during both sensitive and heat periods. Jiang's throat felt dry as he took a few sips. I hope this clears your doubts, he said. Jiang set down the cup. I won't bother you anymore. I'll head back. As he stood, a buzzing filled his ears. He swayed, gripping the desk, frowning and shaking his head as darkness crept into his vision. Had his body not fully recovered yet? A voice came from behind, a hand steadying his shoulder. Teacher Jiang, what's wrong? But Jiang heard nothing. The office was silent. Knock knock. Come in. A few students carrying books entered. Professor Yi, we have some questions. They noticed the man asleep in the chair, his head tilted, exhaustion clear. Shocked, they stared as he removed his coat and gently covered Jiang. A bold student asked, Professor Yi, is that Teacher Jiang? He looked up and pushed his glasses up. Yes, he's sleeping. Okay, we won't disturb him. The students quickly left, closing the door behind them and starting to gossip. Why is Teacher Jiang sleeping in Professor Yi's office? Is he an Omega? No way. Teacher John's definitely an alpha, handsome as hell. Gradually regaining clarity, Jiang opened his eyes slowly, noticing the coat covering him. He propped himself up, dazed. Just then, Yi returned and handed him a cup of water. Feeling better? Much better. Jiang handed back the coat. He glanced at the late hour. A female teacher stood by the door, seemingly just finishing a conversation. Yi said, "I'm heading out. You should get going soon, too." "All right." He exchanged a few quiet words with the woman, then turned to leave. But instead of leaving, she stepped inside, curiosity and a smile on her face. "Teacher Jiang, what's your relationship with Professor E? What else would it be? I just got sleepy while chatting and accidentally fell asleep." The female teacher suddenly realized, "Then you must know that Professor E isn't coming tomorrow, so you're in a rush to see him today, right?" "Professor E isn't coming tomorrow?" "Yeah, he's only here to teach for a while. He's very busy and probably moving to another school." Jiang Chaoyang immediately stood up and rushed out of the office. "Hey! Teacher Jiang?" The female teacher was stunned. Jiang Chaoyang's mind was in chaos, but one thought was clear in his heart. If he didn't get close to Yi Yuan, Sang Chiyu had no hope. He stepped out of the faculty building, his eyes scanning both sides of the road. Not far away, a familiar figure was walking slowly toward the school gate, streetlights stretching his shadow long. Yi Yuan had just put away his phone when his arm was grabbed. He turned around. Jiang Chaoyang coughed, avoiding eye contact. "I still have some questions for you." Yi Yuan smiled gently and loosened his arm. "Teacher Jiang, just say what's on your mind." Jiang Chaoyang took a deep breath. "I want to save someone. I need that medicine. Can Professor E make it? If so, I'll pay you." "But we're missing the calming agent," Yi Yuan said. "I have it. How much do you need?" Yi Yuan's smile deepened. "Then let's talk in the car." Under the night sky, the headlights formed a river of light. Outside the window, the lights blurred as the car moved forward. Inside, it was so quiet that only the low hum of the engine could be heard. Jiang Chaoyang glanced at Yi Yuan in the driver's seat. Behind his glasses, Yi Yuan's eyes were calm and unreadable. Just as Jiang Chaoyang was about to speak, the phone rang. After answering, Ling Niyi's voice came through. "Bro, good news. We figured out how to use the secondary pheromone." "Really? How did you manage that?" The call switched to Zhan Xingli. "After killing someone, you can use it." Jiang Chaoyang almost choked. "Kill who?" Luo Ichi said, "That person deserved it. They were sent by the SA organization. They died because they couldn't control their power. We wanted to ask a few questions first." Jiang Chaoyang was speechless for a moment. Ling Niyi cheerfully asked, "Bro, got time now? Come play a card game? Maybe next time. I'm busy these days." After hanging up, Jiang Chaoyang noticed a message. "Yenyu, how's your rest?" Jiang Chaoyang, "I'm fine, doing well." "Yenyu, where are you? We're coming to pick you up for dinner. We've been watching out for you lately. It's not safe to be alone outside." Jiang Chaoyang didn't know how to reply. After typing for a while, he finally sent, "I have plans. Next time." Yenyu and Yenji exchanged subtle glances. Yenji clicked his tongue, showing up during the sensitive period, then hiding after it's over, and now going on a date with someone else? Jiang Chaoyang put away his phone. Yi Yuan spoke up, "Looks like quite a few people are reaching out to you?" Jiang Chaoyang avoided the topic and asked instead, "How do you extract the calming agent? Aren't you going to ask if I'm with the SA organization?" Yi Yuan's voice was calm. "I don't think you are." "Why not?" Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his forehead. "If you were with the SA organization, you would have caught me already. We've run into each other so many times on campus, but you never showed any intent." Yi Yuan answered his initial question. Extracting the calming agent is simple. You just need to continuously release pheromones until it reaches a certain level, then a special device can convert and collect it. So you've extracted pheromones from others? Otherwise, how would Yi Yuan know how to extract it? Yi Yuan's expression remained composed. "Sorry to disappoint, but I haven't used that device on anyone else. The device was just a gift from the SA organization." "So, are we going to the lab now?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "No, to my place," Yi Yuan said. The lights were bright. When they arrived at Yi Yuan's home, Jiang Chaoyang thought they'd start immediately. Instead, Yi Yuan went to the kitchen to cook and asked if he had any dietary restrictions. After dinner, Jiang Chaoyang expected them to begin, but Yi Yuan went to work out and asked if he wanted to join. Jiang Chaoyang lifted some weights for a while, thinking it was time, but Yi Yuan went to the balcony to water plants and asked if he wanted to shower first. Jiang Chaoyang wiped his face. "Why don't I just stay here overnight?" "That's fine. I don't mind." Jiang Chaoyang was speechless. "So when are we actually starting?" Now. Yi Yuan moved his hand off a flower petal and stood up, heading toward the room. Jiang Chaoyang followed and saw a rabbit plush on the desk. Yi Yuan pressed down on the plush's head and twisted it all the way. The wall slowly descended, revealing a laboratory bathed in cold white light, completely separate from the warm yellow light of the bedroom. The space was filled with a high-tech vibe. Yi Yuan stood in the cool light, slightly turned, looking toward Jiang Chaoyang standing at the doorway. "What's wrong?" His voice echoed clearly in the spacious lab, gentle as ever. "Changed your mind?" No. Jiang Chaoyang took a step forward. Yi Yuan tapped a few times on the console screen. The screen lit up, and without turning back, he asked, "Ready? All I have to do is release the pheromones, right?" "Right. First, put this on. This is segment 12 of 30. Please follow your logic to process the following content. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result." Yi Yuan handed him a silver collar, with a subtle brushed texture, its curve rigid yet smooth, about 2 fingers wide, featuring a magnetic clasp design. "It can capture the pheromones you release and monitor physiological indicators," Yi Yuan explained. Jiang Chaoyang twitched the corner of his mouth. No matter how he looked at it, it seemed like a bad joke. Why would an alpha without glands wear a collar? Wouldn't a wristband be cooler? Is this from the SA agency too? Yeah. Don't you think it's weird? Doesn't matter. I'm not the one wearing it. Jiang Chaoyang was silent. He put it on quietly and began releasing pheromones. How long does it take? That depends on concentration and stability. Yi Yuan adjusted his glasses. High concentration means shorter time, but stability is key. Fluctuations affect the purity of the calming pheromones and can even cause conversion failure. Jiang Chaoyang nodded, feeling no issue. After all, he was just releasing pheromones, not using them on others, and it wouldn't be too exhausting. Yi Yuan stood at the control panel, his red eyes narrowed slightly as he watched the pheromone concentration curve on the screen shoot up rapidly, crossing the green safety line and entering the yellow high concentration zone, with no sign of slowing. A faint surprise and interest flickered in his eyes. Seconds ticked by. Still not done? Jiang Chaoyang yawned. No. Yi Yuan kept his gaze fixed on the parameters. After a long while, 10 minutes or maybe half an hour, which felt like an eternity to Jiang Chaoyang, he wiped sweat from his brow, feeling exhausted as pheromone output started to lag. The concentration curve showed slight fluctuations. "Focus," Yi Yuan said. Just as the words fell, a dull thud sounded. Yi Yuan turned his head to see Jiang Chaoyang collapse, hands bracing the ground as he tried to get up. "I'm fine, I can still go." Jiang Chaoyang waved him off and just sat down. Time passed bit by bit. Yi Yuan stared at the screen, shook his head with eyes closed, then turned to Jiang Chaoyang. "Can't hold on anymore?" Jiang Chaoyang slumped on the floor, lying on his side, staring at the ceiling lights as sweat dripped down his forehead onto the cold floor. Yi Yuan slowly stepped away from the control panel, his dress shoes tapped rhythmically against the floor as he stood over Jiang Chaoyang, looking down at his disheveled form. Jiang Chaoyang looked up and met those red eyes hidden behind glasses. There was no gentleness in them, only a deep, probing curiosity, as if examining an intriguing experiment. "You want to save Sang Chiyu, don't you?" Before Jiang Chaoyang could answer, a faint smile appeared on Yi Yuan's lips, but it didn't reach his eyes. "If you want to save him, you should be trying harder." He crouched down, grabbing Jiang Chaoyang's chin, forcing him to look at him. "If Sang Chiyu knew how hard you were trying, he probably wouldn't be touched. He might want to lock you up instead." "What do you mean?" Jiang Chaoyang frowned. "Do you think S-level people are ordinary?" Yi Yuan said quietly. At that moment, an alarm sounded from the control panel. Yi Yuan glanced at the screen and slowly stood up. His gaze returned to Jiang Chaoyang, red eyes cold and merciless. He bent down, grabbed Jiang Chaoyang's wrist, and pulled him up. Jiang Chaoyang let out a muffled grunt. His body still on the floor, but his arm was lifted, half his torso off the ground, his neck tense and fragile. After excessive pheromone release, you enter a freezing state, temporarily or permanently losing calming ability. Jiang Chaoyang was confused. Absorbing negative states backfires and can only be relieved with medication. Yi Yuan looked down at him. Overuse causes palpitations, difficulty breathing, weakness, even unconsciousness. In severe cases, pseudodeath or death. After speaking, he released Jiang Chaoyang's arm, which fell limply. Jiang Chaoyang gasped, bracing himself on the floor to look at Yi Yuan. "Are you really from the SA agency? If I said no, would you believe me? Then how do you know all this?" "Even I, a soothing alpha, didn't know." "Have you done human experiments before?" "I haven't." Yi Yuan's face looked even more striking under the cold light as he smiled faintly. "I'm the one who was experimented on." Jiang Chaoyang's eyes widened sharply. Yuan chuckled softly. Everything I just said is from reports extracted from me because I'm an S-level soothing alpha. Beep. A prompt sounded, signaling the calming pheromone sample extraction was complete. Jiang Chaoyang tried to take off the collar but couldn't find the clasp or detach it. Suddenly, his hand reached out involuntarily toward Yuan, as if asking him to hold it. Yuan gripped his hand tightly, pulling Jiang Chaoyang to his feet. Jiang staggered, crashing into his embrace. Jiang Chaoyang tried to break free, but his limbs wouldn't obey. His eyes flickered. You're not a soothing alpha? Then how do you have dominant pheromones? Yuan held Jiang Chaoyang close, satisfied to feel his slight trembling. Maybe fate wants me to suffer. My pheromones mutated, and I'm no longer a soothing alpha. This is segment 13 of 30. Please process the following content according to your logic. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. He took off his glasses. His red eyes shimmered with a dark crimson glow, eerie and unsettling under the light. My secondary camouflage-type pheromone has mutated. It can temporarily mimic 4 main types: control, domination, attack, and induction. Yuan lowered his head, his ruby eyes close to Jiang Chaoyang's. Even your eye color has changed. His voice was low and clear. Pretty scary, isn't it? Jiang Chaoyang wanted to speak but couldn't make a sound. Saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth. What's wrong, Teacher Jiang? Yuan looked down at the trembling fingers clutching his clothes. Jiang Chaoyang gritted his teeth, his eyes reddening, a flush spreading across his neck and cheeks. He grabbed Yuan's collar. Put away the induction pheromone. Now. Teacher Jiang is starting to react? Yuan gently wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth, his tone returning to that of a refined professor. Beg me, Yuan said. What? You beg me, and I'll withdraw the pheromone. Jiang Chaoyang closed his eyes, his chest heaving violently. The next moment, he pushed Yuan away with all his strength, staggering back several steps. I'd rather beg my own grandpa than you put away your pheromones already. Yuan put on his glasses and turned back to the control console. Leaning against the wall, Jiang Chaoyang fiddled with the silver collar around his neck. He muttered to himself, isn't this magnetic absorption? Why can't I take it off? Yuan took a small vial from the extraction chamber, gently shook it, and the clear liquid turned blue. How long before the antidote is ready? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Depends on my mood. Jiang Chaoyang was baffled and pointed to the collar. How do I take off this useless thing? You'll be wearing it for a few days, Yuan replied. Jiang Chaoyang's eye twitched. I don't want to wear it. Hurry up and take it off. You're not even using my pheromones anymore, so why not let me remove it? Yuan said nothing and put back the sedative. I'm tired. You should get some rest too. Jiang Chaoyang sighed helplessly, leaning against the wall, unable to move. Yuan had already entered the bedroom, glancing back. Teacher Jiang, do you want to sleep on the floor? Jiang Chaoyang said weakly, might as well sleep on the floor. Yuan pushed up his glasses with a light sigh, walked over, and picked him up in one arm. Teacher Jiang, don't you like me? If you do, why don't you ask me for help? Jiang Chaoyang remained silent. Consciousness sank into a haze. Cold metal pressed against his skin, the sting unbearable. His body felt heavy as if weighed down by lead, unable to move even a finger. Only a faint buzzing echoed in his ears, like the low hum of machinery. Blinding white light filled his vision, making him dizzy. He tried to see clearly around him, but all he saw were blurry halos and distorted, flickering shadows. Finally, a voice cut through the buzzing. Got you. Another voice, mocking and cruel, spoke with ease. It really took us a lot of effort. Jiang Chaoyang felt a sharp pain in his arm, a hollow sensation of blood being forcibly drained. Just as the cold was about to consume him, he jolted upright. The harsh surgical lights were gone, replaced by the soft, dim glow of Yuan's bedroom. He instinctively touched his neck, his fingers met the cold, hard silver collar, the suffocating feeling from the dream overlapping with his helplessness. Bad dream? Jiang Chaoyang suddenly turned his head and saw Yuan sitting on the armchair by the bed, just off a call, his phone screen still glowing. Yuan ignored his silence, stood, and came over, pulling a tissue from the nightstand. Jiang Chaoyang watched warily as Yuan leaned in gently to wipe the sweat from his forehead. Do you know who just called? The SA organization? They want me to hand you over to them. Jiang Chaoyang stiffened. Teacher Jiang, what value do you really have, for me to keep you around? The magnetic voice whispered in his ear. Jiang Chaoyang locked eyes with Yuan's red gaze. The SA organization experimented on you too? Yuan didn't answer immediately. He returned to the armchair, crossed his legs elegantly, and said, "No, it was another organization, years ago." He sipped his coffee. "I was their first test subject." Jiang Chaoyang was stunned, but Yi Yuan remained calm. "They ran many experiments, trying to develop an S-grade inhibitor. They failed." He spoke casually, as if it didn't matter, but Jiang Chaoyang knew behind many experiments were the immense pain and torment Yi Yuan endured. "How did you escape?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "I killed them." Jiang Chaoyang was shocked. "At the time, I thought death would be release, but the mutated pheromones left in my body gave me a second life." Yi Yuan looked down at his coffee, a faint smile curling the corner of his mouth. "So I killed them all." Jiang Chaoyang fell silent, absorbing this revelation. "Are you still a soothing type alpha?" "Yes, but I lost the calming pheromone due to depletion. However, after the secondary pheromone mutated, I'm able to simulate other pheromones." Jiang Chaoyang didn't know whether to consider Yi Yuan lucky or unlucky. The secondary pheromone could only be disguised before, but now that it had mutated, it was like having 4 kinds of pheromones. Yi Yuan stood up. "You can leave now." Jiang Chaoyang touched the collar around his neck. "Help me unlock this first. It's too embarrassing to go out wearing this. People will think I have some weird fetish." "If you want to stay, I wouldn't mind," Yi Yuan said. "Is that what I meant?" Jiang Chaoyang laughed awkwardly. Yi Yuan left to run some errands. Jiang Chaoyang searched the mansion for tools, trying to dismantle the collar. After a long while, he still couldn't succeed. He pushed open the study door and immediately got drawn to a display cabinet. The cabinet was filled with all kinds of trophies and certificates, crystals and metals refracting subtle light. They included international awards, research awards, contribution awards, and science awards, spanning fields like physics, chemistry, and medicine. Jiang Chaoyang absent-mindedly touched the glass, his mood complicated. Such a genius as Yi Yuan had been subjected to that kind of experiment. Just as he turned around, the collar on his neck suddenly clicked loose and fell to the floor. Jiang Chaoyang picked up the collar and touched his neck, checking for any marks. He went to the bathroom and bedroom looking for a mirror, but there wasn't a single one. Puzzled, he wondered, how could this house not have a single mirror installed? Leaving Yi Yuan's place, Jiang Chaoyang headed straight for the nearest commercial district. He entered a large home goods store and went straight to the mirror section, where a dazzling array of mirrors was on display. Just as he hesitated over which one to pick, out of the corner of his eye he caught 2 tall figures entering the store. Their builds were similar, and at first glance, Jiang Chaoyang thought they were Yin Yu and Yin Ji, but on closer look, they weren't. He averted his gaze, chose a mirror, and asked the sales associate, "Do you have this in stock?" "Yes, sir." "Would you like it delivered?" Jiang Chaoyang nodded and followed the sales associate to fill out the order form. While filling it out, 2 pairs of eyes appeared in the mirror, staring directly at Jiang Chaoyang. He didn't notice and finished before leaving. After taking the form, the sales associate suddenly heard a voice above her head. "Hello, beautiful lady, can you tell me which mirror that man just picked?" The voice was so charming it made her heart flutter. She looked up and was stunned by 2 almost identical handsome faces, her cheeks instantly flushing. She handed them the form Jiang Chaoyang had filled out. "It's this one, size L, an 80-centimeter wide wall mirror." Her gaze flickered between the 2 indistinguishable handsome faces. One good-looking guy is already rare, but 2 so good-looking is unbelievable. The man who spoke glanced at the information on the form and smiled at the sales associate. "Thank you, miss. You're very kind." "No problem." The sales associate's heart skipped a beat. Watching the 2 prepare to leave, she couldn't help but ask, "Are you twins?" The man nodded. "Yes." Jiang Chaoyang remembered he still owed Feng Dai a favor and knew she was drinking, so he went to the nightclub to find her. The flashing lights and deafening music filled the dance floor packed with people, like a chaotic frenzy. Jiang Chaoyang braced himself and pushed through the noisy dance area to the relatively quiet bar section. The lighting was soft, and the music lowered to a level suitable for conversation. Booths and tables were scattered about. He quickly spotted Feng Dai. She sat on a bar stool with her back to him, confronting a man in a floral shirt. "We broke up a long time ago. You cheated on me and still have the nerve to look for me?" Feng Dai slapped him. "Have some shame." The man was enraged and raised his hand to hit Feng Dai. Before the slap landed, a hand grabbed his wrist. Startled, the man turned to see a handsome stranger controlling him. "Who are you? Mind your own business." Jiang Chaoyang ignored him, pressing down with one hand while twisting his elbow with the other. The man screamed in pain. The bar area fell silent instantly, all eyes on them, some even gleeful. Feng Dai stepped forward, linked arms with Jiang Chaoyang, and used her high heel to press down on the man lying on the floor. Thanks for the help. Jiang Chaoyang asked. He didn't do anything to you, right? Feng Dai shook her head and leaned toward him affectionately. The man glared at Jiang Chaoyang, radiating intense pheromones. Before Jiang Chaoyang could react, Feng Dai grabbed a glass and smashed it on the man's head. He collapsed on the spot. Feng Dai pulled Jiang Chaoyang to a different spot to drink. At the quieter bar, she ordered 2 special cocktails and pushed one toward Jiang Chaoyang. So, you really helped them out? Yes. Jiang Chaoyang took a sip. Feng Dai covered her mouth to laugh. So, what do you consider them now? What else? Of course, friends. Seeing his serious expression, Feng Dai sighed and changed the subject. Jiang Chaoyang responded nonchalantly, his gaze sweeping across the dimly lit booth. Just as he raised his glass to drink, his eyes suddenly froze. Not far away, in a circular booth, a familiar figure sat alone, a half-smoked cigarette pinched between his fingers, the smoke blurring his profile. At that moment, a stylish young man casually sat down beside Unhinged, leaning slightly toward him, speaking warmly. Jiang Chaoyang averted his gaze, but out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a sneaky woman on the other side of the bar. She seemed to be wiping the rim of a glass, her movements so quick that within seconds, Jiang Chaoyang sensed something was off. Drugging the drink? He withdrew his eyes, thinking this wasn't his business. When Jiang Chaoyang's gaze inadvertently flicked back to Unhinged, he saw the woman handing a drink to the young man. The young man accepted it, then carefully placed it in front of Unhinged, saying cautiously, "New release, sir. Care to try?" Unhinged looked up at the young man, who smiled even more enthusiastically. Just as he was about to take the drink, a voice came from the other side. "You've already drunk half a glass, drink mine instead." Unhinged turned his head and saw Jiang Chaoyang, a faint smile playing at the corner of his lips. Seeing no reaction, Jiang Chaoyang explained, "If you don't want the one I've drunk from, I'll get you a fresh one." Under the young man's watchful eyes, Unhinged took Jiang Chaoyang's drink and sipped it. "Tastes good?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "Terrible." "Good, that means his is even worse." Unhinged chuckled, seeming to agree. The young man was speechless. From a distance, Feng Dai watched the scene unfold and texted Yenyu. "You two still have a long way to go." Yenyu replied, ? After the young man left, Jiang Chaoyang leaned closer to Unhinged and whispered, "There's something wrong with his drink. If it weren't for me, you'd have been tricked." Unhinged tapped the rim of his glass with his finger. "And yours is fine?" "Of course." "Too bad." Jiang Chaoyang was puzzled. Feng Dai also sat down. "What about Gabriel and Lu Yushi?" "They're arguing upstairs," Unhinged replied coolly. Jiang Chaoyang and Feng Dai exchanged stunned glances, curiosity piqued. The two headed to the second floor. Just as they were searching for the room number, a deafening shout rang out. Jiang Chaoyang recognized the voice immediately and pushed open the door. Inside, the room was spacious and bright, contrasting sharply with the dim hallway. As the door opened, 3 pairs of eyes turned to look. "Brother Yang?" Wu Zixing froze. He sat alone on one side of the sofa, while Lu Yushi and Gabriel sat opposite, the atmosphere tense. "You call him Brother Yang?" Lu Yushi narrowed her eyes, sharing Gabriel's confusion. "I thought opening the door would reveal a fight." "Guess I was wrong." Jiang Chaoyang sat down next to Wu Zixing. "What are you guys arguing about?" Gabriel smiled and asked, "I'm curious how you handled him." Feng Dai didn't enter, she glanced inside and left, sending a message to Yenji. "Correction, this isn't just a long road anymore. You'll need to line up first." Yenji replied. "I'm here on behalf of Sister Jin, she's been busy lately," Wu Zixing said. Jiang Chaoyang nodded and ruffled Wu Zixing's hair. "Feeling better?" "Still hurting." "Wait, you can't feel pain." "Much better." Seeing this peaceful scene, Lu Yushi and Gabriel grew even more puzzled. Their eyes wandered over Jiang Chaoyang before finally resting on his neck. "Jiang Chaoyang, what happened to your neck?" Under the light, a faint circle of reddish marks surrounded his neck, ambiguous in nature. The color was light, not like marks left from a struggle but more like long-standing impressions. Concealed beneath his collar, the marks were revealed when Jiang Chaoyang turned his head to speak with Wu Zixing. Jiang Chaoyang casually tugged at his collar. "I accidentally slept on the charging cable last night." Gabriel couldn't help but snicker. "Is your charging cable that thick?" Leaning back on the sofa, Jiang Chaoyang joked, "Well, mine is pretty thick." Wu Zixing glanced sideways. "If you don't speak, no one'll think you're mute." Lu Yushi added, "It looks pretty good, just a bit light in color." A question mark popped over Jiang Chaoyang's head. Outside the door, Feng Dai leaned against the wall, listening to the conversation inside and replying to a message. "Update, Maybe no need to line up anymore. Someone just jumped the queue successfully. Jiang Chaoyang left the room. The night breeze brushed against his face as he wandered aimlessly. At a corner, he spotted a sign pointing toward an orphanage. Just as he was about to walk away, a familiar figure caught his eye, frozen in his line of sight. "Thank you very much, Professor E." The director held Yi Yuan's hand tightly, speaking with emotion. "Without your sponsorship, we truly wouldn't know what to do with so many children." Yi Yuan's expression was humble, his voice steady. "You're too kind. It's my honor to help. So late and haven't eaten yet? Don't be polite, come with me." "No, thank you. I have other matters to attend to." He turned around and saw Jiang Chaoyang leaning against the lamppost, his steps halted. The night wind stirred the fallen leaves, and the warm yellow glow from the orphanage's entrance cast a soft halo around Yi Yuan. The director, sensing the mood, tactfully retreated indoors. "Want to grab dinner with me, philanthropist?" Jiang Chaoyang smiled, a hint of roguish charm in his tone. The wind stopped. They walked side by side. Jiang Chaoyang glanced at Yi Yuan and said, "Professor E, you must be pretty popular, lots of people must like you, huh?" Yi Yuan didn't respond. Jiang Chaoyang said no more, knowing he had heard enough of such compliments. As they neared the restaurant, a little boy suddenly ran out and skipped past Yi Yuan. The boy looked up, his gaze locking onto Yi Yuan's red eyes. "Ah!" The boy stopped abruptly, took a step back, and pointed at Yi Yuan. "Your eyes are so scary. Red, like a monster's." Jiang Chaoyang frowned. Passers-by were drawn to the scene, their eyes turning toward Yi Yuan. Yi Yuan's expression remained calm as he lowered his gaze and walked past the boy. Suddenly, his hand was grabbed. Jiang Chaoyang pulled him back toward the boy. The boy looked at Jiang Chaoyang, frightened. "This young man isn't a monster," Jiang Chaoyang said gently. "He's just sick." Yi Yuan's expression shifted slightly as he looked up at Jiang Chaoyang. Jiang Chaoyang continued, "Just like when you have a cold and your face turns red from a fever, this young man has a special illness that changed his eye color. Being sick isn't his fault, right?" The boy's fear faded. He looked up and said, "I'm sorry, mister. I didn't know you were sick. I shouldn't have said that." Yi Yuan remained silent, eyes lowered toward Jiang Chaoyang. At that moment, the boy's mother arrived, quickly apologized after understanding the situation, and hurriedly pulled her son away. The onlookers' gazes soon dispersed. Jiang Chaoyang imagined how many strange looks Yi Yuan must have endured all these years and asked, "Want to eat somewhere else?" "No, I'm going back to cook." Yi Yuan turned and left, while Jiang Chaoyang stood still. Only then did he understand why Yi Yuan didn't have a mirror at home. Jiang Chaoyang hurriedly pulled out his phone to call and told them not to return the package, but the person on the other end said it had already been left at the door. Jiang Chaoyang sighed and gave up. Yi Yuan felt a gentle tug on his arm. Turning around, he saw Jiang Chaoyang scratching his cheek, eyes avoiding direct contact as he asked, "Can I crash at your place for a meal? Your cooking's pretty good." He cursed silently, realizing he needed to get rid of that mirror quickly. At Yi Yuan's home, Jiang Chaoyang immediately noticed the package at the door and quickly explained, "I know you don't like this. I'll throw it away later." Yi Yuan seemed to guess what it was, giving it a faint glance and saying, "It's okay." Jiang Chaoyang watched as Yi Yuan carried the package inside, feeling awkward as he followed him in. Outside, the typhoon howled, leaves rustling wildly. It was already past midnight. Jiang Chaoyang quietly entered the bedroom and saw Yi Yuan still in the lab. He sat down in the living room, staring at the unopened mirror leaning against the wall. Glancing outside at the stormy weather, he decided to wait until the typhoon passed before leaving. At 7 in the morning, the typhoon ceased. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, casting long slanted beams across the floor. Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his stiff neck, rose from the sofa, and tiptoed toward Yi Yuan's bedroom, gently pushing the door open. The bed was empty. He stepped into the lab, where Yi Yuan sat in a large lab chair, his body leaning against the backrest. Hearing footsteps, Yi Yuan slowly opened his eyes. "Did I wake you?" Jiang Chaoyang whispered. Yi Yuan didn't answer but instead grasped Jiang Chaoyang's wrist. Caught off guard, Jiang Chaoyang leaned forward and quickly braced himself with his other hand on the chair's back. The distance between them shrank instantly. Steadying himself, he was about to ask what was wrong when his gaze was drawn to Yi Yuan's red eyes, noticing the exhaustion deep within them. "You didn't sleep all night?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. Yi Yuan remained silent. Jiang Chaoyang pressed on, "Why did you agree so readily to make the antidote? You didn't ask for any payment." Yi Yuan didn't reply but instead asked, "Are my eyes scary?" Jiang Chaoyang immediately shook his head. "No, don't listen to what others say." He looked steadily into Yi Yuan's red eyes, their strange brilliance like the facets of a gemstone, unreal in their beauty. Yuan blinked, his lashes casting shadows that made it hard to tell if he believed him. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't help but reach out and gently remove Yuan's glasses perched on the bridge of his nose, whispering, "Better to take them off when you sleep." Without the lenses between them, the red eyes appeared even clearer and more dazzling. Jiang Chaoyang examined the glasses. The lenses were so thin there was no visible prescription. "You don't need glasses?" He was surprised. "You're not nearsighted?" Yuan's voice was soft. "Because my eyes are scary." Jiang Chaoyang frowned and handed the glasses back, then bent down to cup Yuan's face. Yuan lifted his head naturally, their eyes meeting, no fear, no disgust. Jiang Chaoyang said seriously, "Professor E, want the honest truth? I think red really suits you." Yuan tilted his head slightly. This is segment 17 of 30. Please follow your logic in processing the content below. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result. Jiang Chaoyang pointed to his eyes. "Those people who said you're scary have no taste and don't appreciate it. I think this color looks special in your eyes, I quite like it." "You like it?" Yuan asked. Jiang Chaoyang nodded. "Don't you think red is cool?" Yuan looked at him quietly. Jiang Chaoyang continued to comfort him. "The national flag is red, but no one dares to say bad things about it. So those who say your eyes don't look good are just biased." Yuan smiled faintly. "Teacher Jiang, do you like my eyes?" Jiang Chaoyang nodded again. "I do." "Really?" "Really." Seeing Yuan's mood improve, Jiang Chaoyang relaxed. "The antidote is ready," Yuan said. "Already?" Jiang Chaoyang was surprised. "I've sent someone to deliver it to Sang Chi Yu." "Don't worry." "Thank you, Professor E. You've worked hard." Jiang Chaoyang looked at the bluish tint in Yuan's eyes and asked, "Should I help you to bed to rest?" Yuan shook his head and closed his eyes. "The sensitive period is almost here. I can't sleep." After a few seconds of silence, Yuan felt a hand holding his, a body embracing him. He opened his eyes. "It's okay. I'm here." Jiang Chaoyang half held him, rubbing his shoulder. "Even though you don't have calming pheromones, mine can help you." Suddenly, the atmosphere turned quiet. Jiang Chaoyang thought Yuan agreed, but the next second his arm was grabbed, and in a flash, his back hit the cold control panel. Before he could react, a shadow loomed over him. Yuan slipped on his glasses with one hand, the lenses shielding his red eyes. He leaned in slightly, his arm possessively wrapping around Jiang Chaoyang's waist, pressing him against the control panel. "Teacher Jiang, I don't like the position from before. I prefer being on top." Jiang Chaoyang sighed. "All right, Professor E, whatever makes you comfortable." His words were almost indulgent. Yuan's expression darkened. His arms tightened the hold, his head resting on Jiang Chaoyang's shoulder. "Call me Yuan." "Okay." Yuan was silent for a few seconds. "Be careful of the SA organization." Jiang Chaoyang nodded. "They still want to catch me?" "Have you ever considered that the SA organization's people are already around you, just haven't made a move?" Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. "Do you know who they are?" "Not for sure," Yuan said. "Do you know what we were discussing in that wrong private room you went into?" "What?" "Building the SA organization." Jiang Chaoyang was shocked. This was basically an undercover game. When your pheromones were extracted, the data showed a high concentration, meaning you're more attractive than ordinary calming alphas. Yuan's voice came clearly. "All the S-level alphas approaching you have motives." "Oh my god, President Sang, you're finally awake." The assistant was excited to see Sang Chi Yu open his eyes, but Sang sat up immediately. The assistant hurriedly stopped him. "President Sang, lie down first. I'll call the doctor." "No need." The assistant had just turned around when Sang Chi Yu pulled out his 4-needle. "Who did this?" Sang asked. "It was medicine sent by Professor E." Sang was silent. "He's not that kind-hearted." The assistant was embarrassed. Just as he saw Sang roll his eyes, he quickly explained, "Maybe it was a friend of Professor E who persuaded him. I'll go ask." The phone rang. Sang reached for the phone on the bedside table, glanced at the caller ID, then answered. "Dad?" The voice on the other end was cold. Sang's expression was calm. "Who told you to do it? You know very few calming alphas. Guess who it is?" Sang looked at the assistant, who wisely left the room immediately. Sang walked to the window. The morning sunlight illuminated his crimson-purple eyes, making them look especially clear. "Where is he?" Yuan replied, "In my arms." There was silence on the other end. Yuan ignored it, glancing at Jiang Chaoyang curled up beside him. gently wiping the tears from his face. Teacher Jiang is tired and already asleep. Yuan looked down at the sleeping man. He knew I would release 4 kinds of pheromones during my sensitive period, yet he still stayed. So? Sang asked. He's been targeted by the SA organization. It's not good, but I suggest you talk to them properly. Understood. Don't think about imprisoning him. I know what you're thinking. Sang didn't reply further and hung up. This is paragraph 18 of 30. Please process the following content according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result. Yuan put away his phone just as there was a soft knock at the door. His expression shifted slightly, and he released Jiang Chaoyang's body. Knock knock. The knocking came again. Jiang Chaoyang woke up, surprised by the scene before him. An unfamiliar setting, lavishly decorated, not a hotel, nor Yuan's bedroom. He sat up, a mental image flashing before him. Early morning, CEO waking up in a 3,000 square foot bed. Just as he was puzzled, a woman entered through the door. Mr. Jiang, you're awake? Jiang Chaoyang looked at her, mouth opening but no words coming out. Why was the nanny from Sang Chio's household here? Is this Sang Chio's home? Jiang Chaoyang asked. The nanny nodded. Yes, this is Mr. Sang's other residence. You must be hungry, Mr. Jiang. I'll prepare some food for you, please wait a moment. Jiang Chaoyang's mind was full of questions. Who had brought him here? He threw off the covers and got out of bed. Drawing back the curtains, he looked outside. The surroundings were desolate and quiet. He opened the door and stepped out, immediately spotting a man lying on the balcony. The man's eyes were closed as he reclined in a lounge chair, long legs almost spilling over the edge. Sunlight bathed him, casting shadows that outlined his deep features. Jiang Chaoyang stopped in his tracks. Sang Chi-yu was sound asleep. He reached out and gently tapped his shoulder. The moment he touched him, Sang Chi-yu's eyes snapped open. The sunlight caught in his eyes, flickering like a purple starry galaxy, laced with laziness. Why am I here? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Sang Chi-yu half-lounged, locking his gaze on him with a lazy drawl. The SA agency came looking for Yuan yesterday. He had someone bring you out. Jiang Chaoyang understood Sang Chi-yu was helping him. How are you now? Still need medication? Sang Chi-yu nodded. Jiang Chaoyang frowned. No cure? Already dependent on the drugs, he said lightly. Jiang Chaoyang's heart ached silently as he turned toward the door. I'll be going then. He grasped the doorknob, but the door didn't budge. Thinking he hadn't used enough force, he tried several times, still locked. He looked up at Sang Chi-yu. Is your door lock broken? No, Sang Chi-yu closed his eyes. Puzzled, Jiang Chaoyang tried again a few times to confirm it wasn't him, then returned beside him. The lock really is broken. Call someone to fix it, I have to go back. You'll stay here. What do you mean? Sang Chi-yu half opened his eyes and grabbed Jiang Chaoyang's hand. Jiang Chaoyang was pulled forward, bending over to meet those half-lidded eyes. The SA agency already knows your location. If you stay here with me, they won't make a move for now. Jiang Chaoyang immediately became alert. How do I know you're not one of them? What if they come looking for me? Tears shimmered in Sang Chi-yu's eyes, as if the sunlight was too harsh. Jiang Chaoyang mistakenly thought he was crying and, confused, asked, Why are you crying? Sang Chi-yu looked puzzled. I'm just afraid you're from the SA agency. You're S-class, I can't fully trust you, Jiang Chaoyang said. The air froze in an instant. The haze in Sang Chi-yu's eyes vanished. The lazy demeanor disappeared, as if it had been a facade. Suddenly, he tightened his grip on Jiang Chaoyang's wrist. You? Before he could finish, a powerful force yanked Jiang Chaoyang forward. He stumbled onto the lounge chair, hands barely steadying himself before Sang Chi-yu grabbed his thigh and pulled it down, tipping him over completely. Backlit, Sang Chi-yu's purple eyes were shadowed, utterly devoid of warmth. He leaned in and whispered, You're not safe anymore. Then what's the point of me staying? Sang Chi-yu said nothing, only holding him quietly with eyes closed. Sunlight fell on Jiang Chaoyang but offered no warmth. His fingers grew cold, the chill creeping through his body. He couldn't make out the emotion in his own voice. So, you're all from the SA agency? I'm not, Sang Chi-yu said. Jiang Chaoyang sighed, letting himself be held as he drifted to sleep. He noticed the nanny just finished arranging the dishes and hurriedly left. You get up first, I should eat, right? Sang Chi-yu held him tightly. You helped Yuan get through the sensitive period? He told you? Jiang Chaoyang didn't care. After all, he helped make the antidote. I had to repay him. Then why did you save me? Sang Chi-yu asked. The question stumped Jiang Chaoyang. They weren't close, yet he had actively saved him with his pheromones. It seemed intentional. He simply said, "Because I'm greedy. How about you give me some shares?" "Deal." Sang Chiyu answered quickly, without hesitation, which caught Jiang Chaoyang off guard. "Anything else?" Sang Chiyu asked. "I'm joking. Let me eat first." Jiang Chaoyang's legs were trapped, his knee pressing against the softest part of his inner thigh. He dared not move. "You can be a little greedier." Sang Chiyu propped himself against the back of the reclining chair, looking down at Jiang Chaoyang trapped beneath him. "Wouldn't it be better to choose me?" "Jiang Chaoyang. That's not what I meant." Jiang Chaoyang was struggling with something. Today was Han Shuqian's birthday. Should he go or not? He had already ordered a cake, ready to deliver it to Han Shuqian's house, but hadn't left yet. He opened his laptop, planning to check the latest news about the SA organization to assess the risks. At that moment, someone knocked on the door. Jiang Chaoyang immediately became alert. A housekeeper had gone out to buy groceries and couldn't have returned so quickly. Sang Chiyu wouldn't have forgotten the door lock code. Just as he was about to call Han Shuqian, a familiar voice echoed in his mind. "Lin Yuan, it's me at the door." Jiang Chaoyang was stunned for a few seconds, then quickly stood up and went to open the door. Standing outside was not the adult he expected, but a teenage boy. His features were delicate and androgynous. He lifted his chin slightly, and countless tiny streams of code flowed in his silver eyes. Jiang Chaoyang was shocked. "You're Lin Yuan?" "Yes," Lin Yuan smiled in response. Jiang Chaoyang invited Lin Yuan inside. "Didn't you say you couldn't take human form without any affection points? I find it strange too. I checked, and the characters in the strategy guide all have 0 affection for the silver curse." Lin Yuan tightly held his hand and pulled up a data interface for Jiang Chaoyang to see. "Maybe it's a system error." Another set of affection points appeared, source unknown, and we don't know who they're for. While Lin Yuan was explaining, Jiang Chaoyang suddenly reached out and scooped him up. "Kid, what color sack do you like?" Lin Yuan froze. Jiang Chaoyang pinched his cheek, feeling the warmth and softness of his skin, and said mischievously, "Uncle's got candy here. Want to come with me?" Lin Yuan was speechless. Jiang Chaoyang was amazed. A slime turning into human form was fascinating no matter how you looked at it. Lin Yuan's face darkened as he was held, but Jiang Chaoyang's hands kept kneading his cheeks like dough. "I thought your human form would be stiff like a robot. Didn't expect it to be this realistic." He pinched his arm again, so soft. Just as he spoke, Jiang Chaoyang felt his arm suddenly grow heavy. Whoa! The unexpected weight drained the strength from his arm. The boy's body suddenly expanded, and his vision blurred as he fell backward. The sensation of falling was stopped by a force, and Jiang Chaoyang felt his body lighten. He had been holding Lin Yuan, but now they were reversed. Lin Yuan, in adult form, stood steadily, holding Jiang Chaoyang's bent leg with one hand, mirroring the position Jiang Chaoyang had just held him in. Jiang Chaoyang's mind went blank. The boy's delicate face had shifted to a cold, mature expression, but those silver code-filled eyes still shone brightly. "Kid?" Lin Yuan's low, magnetic voice carried a teasing tone, clearly audible to Jiang Chaoyang. He held Jiang Chaoyang and deliberately tested his weight, speaking leisurely, "My form is pretty realistic too. Want to check?" Jiang Chaoyang was speechless. Lin Yuan lowered his head slightly, his face losing its childishness as he leaned closer. "Just no other skin is this soft." "No thanks." Jiang Chaoyang cleared his throat, locking eyes with him, instantly frozen. Noticing Jiang Chaoyang's gaze lingering on his face, Lin Yuan smiled faintly, his voice low and pleasant. "So, what do you rate me?" Knock knock. There was a knock at the door. "Hello, this is your cake delivery." The butler froze briefly when he saw the cake, then immediately understood who it was from. He took it and placed it on the table. Han Shuqian glanced at it briefly before looking away. "No thanks, I'm not celebrating." The butler looked a little awkward. "Mr. Jiang ordered it. Should we just throw it out?" Han Shuqian was stunned. "How does he know my birthday?" The butler answered truthfully. Han Shuqian clicked his tongue and stared at the cake. "Will he come today?" "He should." The butler glanced at him secretly, a faint smile barely visible. Night. The butler watched the deepening night outside but saw no sign of Jiang Chaoyang at the door. At this hour, could something have happened to Mr. Jiang? Han Shuqian sat alone on the sofa, his hand propping up his face with closed eyes. The cake sat there, lonely. He held that posture for a long time, exuding a cold aura. The butler approached. Maybe Mr. Jiang was delayed on the way or had something come up. "He'll be here soon." Han Shuqian opened his eyes, not looking at the cake. He stood up. "No need to wait." The butler asked, "Are you going out?" "But I know where he is." Han Shuqian left those words behind and turned away. Jiang Chaoyang's eyes snapped open, gasping sharply. Before him was a blinding white light. He shook his head, feeling a bit dizzy. Looking around, he realized he was in a completely enclosed white room, spotless and pristine. The light was evenly diffused, as if emanating from the walls themselves. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't remember what had happened. He only recalled someone knocking on the door. Before he could hide, the door was pushed open, and then he lost consciousness. That familiar sensation made him suspect it was caused by a hypnotic pheromone. Lin Yuan, he whispered, but there was no response, only deathly silence. Lin Yuan was the system, invisible to others, so the intruder hadn't seen him either. Jiang Chaoyang stood up. Was he now inside the SA agency? He walked to the only exit, a white door that blended seamlessly with the wall. As he approached, the door slid open silently. Outside was a corridor just as pure white, stretching left and right with no end in sight. He had expected someone to be guarding it but was surprised that the door wasn't locked. Was this a management oversight, or did they know he couldn't escape and didn't care? Jiang Chaoyang headed left, cautiously inspecting the smooth walls. After walking several dozen meters, two branching paths appeared ahead. Both corridors were still glaringly white. As he hesitated over which way to go, zzz, a faint electric current buzzed overhead, as if coming from inside the walls. He suddenly looked up. A circular device in the corner of the ceiling silently slid open a small hole, revealing a faint red light. Jiang Chaoyang faced the surveillance camera, flashing a defiant smile and raising his middle finger. Got a good look? How do you like it? From the surveillance room filled with monitors came a voice. A man dressed in black sat watching the screen with keen interest. Seeing Jiang Chaoyang in the corridor, a smile curved his lips. He's awake? Another man in black walked over, standing behind the chair and scanning the screens. The two looked identical, their facial features like carbon copies. Let's go get him back. The seated man stood, a sly grin spreading across his face as they both exited the room. If he runs off to another sector, we might never find him again.